This is
Oh.
how they train people for turning cargo ships.
Hmm.
I'm guessing you've seen this in real life.
No, it's an article from the Drive.
Cool. So are we live?
We are indeed live, yes.
Oh,
Oh, right. I wasn't aware.
Should go
Excellent.
live,
These
so I
things.
press go
no
live.
internet.
So, good evening to everybody currently listening.
That's
You'll
us.
you'll all be, yes, just us for now.
Yeah.
Presumably somebody will at some point listen to this, and whenever they do, good evening. Assuming it's evening, good day if not. And the reason why we are going live so late today is because we have spent the last hour basically discussing things along the same lines as the peasant railgun.
Well, that
trying
and
to
waiting for
figure
all the
out-
players to turn up.
That much is true, yes. Lots of autism.
Not really.
Anyway.
The essential is can 5 or 6 small wizards, for want of a better term, that are flying, pull a now deceased sky whale and various other silly things. I still say they can. It's just about drag. But
I have ruled as DM that is not possible at your current level of power. But I will say that there is a skywell presence in front of you, and the rate at which it is falling is imperceptible due to the reduced gravity of the environment that the party find themselves in, that being the elemental plane of air, and the fact that there are still some vestiges of life force within this thing keeping it aloft.
So what would be a good roll to work out what bits of it are valuable, plus anything we can maybe already know about skywells just from books we've read or whatever?
The only real skill that you could roll under these circumstances would be a nature check.
Okay, I'm going to roll a nature check.
I will also roll a nature check, but I am actually very interested in retrieving its last remaining functioning eye, and I
It
want.
actually has 3 functioning guys.
Oh, okay. Well, I definitely want at least one of them.
The one thing I know about real whales is this. I have the one whale fact is that apparently they use the vomit to make really expensive perfume for women.
It's
Yes, you're talking about ambergris.
Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we should try and harvest some of that. I don't know if skywell vomit it makes perfume, but
I think finding the glands that were secreting that mist is a really good idea.
Yeah.
And also a big chunk of fat and maybe a liver.
What about maybe also the heart?
Hearts, definitely. Something that might be tasty and also of interest as a novelty item.
We should try
Also,
and take some of the
clearly-
bones. They might make good weapons.
Also, clearly
I
it
would say-
had.
Carry on, Kiki. What were you going to say?
How's that for a
I was
nature
going to
check,
say,
by the way?
clearly had some means of keeping itself aloft, some form of producing its floating buoyancy. Being able to retrieve that would be nice as well, or a sample of it.
So you want to harvest a giant bladder full of air?
Or maybe the flappy wings on the side of it.
So,
Or it
Trig,
might.
Yes.
with your natural 20 totaling to a 22,
Mhm.
I'm going to give you a few pieces of information that should help you figure out, as a party, what you're going to do next. So, the first and most important piece of information that you should all know is that this thing's eyes are 7 feet across. A decent chunk of that is embedded into the skull, and therefore it's going to take a surprising amount of time and effort to dislodge just one of these eyes. The same applies for the fins as well, given that they are several feet thick of sinew, bone, and muscle, not to mention the outer skin. I will say you have the ability to make a choice of one outside visible organ and remove it.
Okay.
Do we have time to get any of the internal organs?
You have a grand total of 22 minutes. Then your
let me
flight
ask a
wears
different
off.
question. Sorry, because if we land on top of it and just open it up from its back and go inside that way, we don't have to use up our flight spell.
You hope.
So, what makes them fly?
Currently, Piper doesn't know.
Kiki,
However,
roll your nature.
Yeah, I'm finding it.
Bobby does have some idea as to how they fly. As far as he knows, there's some kind of aspect of entities that exist within this realm that typically gives them the ability to fly via means that he doesn't quite understand, but is going to assume is probably magic based.
So it's not something we could harvest.
Okay.
It's possible that it might be possible to harvest, but unfortunately, even with a natural 20, a total of a 22 nature check doesn't provide enough information there.
Ginger, would I be able to roll an arcana on that?
Yes, you can.
All right. How does a 17 stack?
A 17 arcana check gives Cardgar the knowledge that there are a variety of, shall we say, not supernatural, but exceptional creatures that exist within within this and other realms. And, like, for example, with dragons, they have an organ that is embedded within their chest that gives them the capability of breathing elemental effects. It is literally magical in nature. It's possible that some kind of organ exists within the whale, though, again, it's mostly just a theory.
What do you reckon?
Basically,
We pick a random spot on the well and just cut it open and see if we find this floaty organ just by chance.
I mean, it's 100 foot long, give or take. I do think the 7 foot eye is rather large for a 100 foot long creature, but okay. It's got some big eyes.
there is something else worth pointing out, by the way.
Yep.
I put its representation of creature to 100 feet for the sake of this battle. It's bigger than that, but there was only so small I could make the. There's only so small I could make the tile, and so big I could make the map before things just got completely outrageous.
That's fair.
Like, realistically, it would be something like this. But, that's a bit much.
Right. In that case, what I'm going to suggest is we can find the glands that excreted the thing, the smoke, the fog.
Most likely, yes. You suspect that there's. Again, I'm going to give this to you because of the natural 20 nature check. You suspect that, much like how sweat glands work in a creature of, say, a human, the chances are there are multiple of these glands scattered across its body, and you could probably dig one out.
And we saw where the smoke came from.
Exactly.
So let's go for that. I'm very keen to try and get an eye as well, if at all possible. But that gland that had a very interesting effect, and there's only so much that so many people can work on one area. I would suggest some people go and try to cut out some nice big tasty steaks as well.
Well, I can suggest that I have a giant axe, so
Steaks.
Probably using that to cut out small glands, not best use of it.
Yeah, no, you go for the steaks, dude.
Yeah, I'm game for that.
I've also watched how people actually gut whales, and it's kind of a big scythe, but an axe will do in a pinch. That they use.
No, that's just, I've only got what I've got.
Yep.
All right.
Your
Alright.
guitar's gonna stink.
It's okay. People in the party have prestidigitation. I'm sure they'll help me out.
Mm-hmm.
Should I
Okay.
do an attack roll or something, Ginger?
No. I'm going to say roll me either a survival or a nature check, your choice, in order to try and cut out a chunk of flesh from this creature.
Could I possibly convince you on a medicine roll instead?
You could, but the DC will be higher for that because medicine generally is regarding your knowledge base on, human anatomy, and there's only so much that translates when dealing with a creature of this size.
Fair enough. My medicine's not that much higher than my survival, so I'll go with survival. I got a 12.
With a 12, I would say that you can cut out a hearty meal's worth of meat from this thing's back. However, it is by far majority skin and fat.
Would it perhaps be better for me to go for its belly? Where does whales? I'm asking Bobby because he's the one who seems to know all about these things. So where's the best cut of meat on a whale?
Right. Okay. It would be down the back and next to where the flippers are, because that's where all the muscles are. Essentially, you also do want to get a lot of fat. Get as much fat as you can. Whale fat, really useful.
Okay.
Yeah, we're selling cosmetics, guys.
All right. Yeah. I'll follow his instruction.
I will say that just for the sake of simplicity, you can have up to 12 pounds of material, and you can choose that material to be either meat, fat, or skin, or a mixture of the three, totaling up to 12 pounds.
Is it bad? I'm struggling to think how many pounds of meat is in a typical steak.
Oh god, a typical steak is about 8 to 10 ounces.
Yeah, I would say
about
a half pound.
Half a pound, yeah, at most is. I mean, it's too. Yeah, a kilo of steak would be a lot. Normal average packet of mince is 500 grams. So yeah.
450, in my experience.
What, 450?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's splitting the hair a little fine. We're only talking 50 grams different from the 500 that I said. And also, that's just because fucking bullshit
A pound
over
is
the last.
450 grams.
Pardon?
A pound is 450 grams, or near enough. If you buy a 450 gram packet of mince beef,
yep,
that's basically a pound of mince beef. It's the reason why they sell them in 450 gram packets rather than 500 gram packets. It's
the reason they always used to sell them in 500, and then we had austerity happen 15 years ago, thanks to the 2008 crash, and ever since that moment, things started getting smaller. That's why Mars bars are a third smaller than they used to be in the 90s.
I mean, do you remember back in the day when you bought a tin of Pringles and they literally filled up the cylinder?
Yes.
And now you buy them, you look inside, and half the cylinder's empty.
The Pringles that they sell in the shop nearby where I live are full all the way to the top. The cylinder is just about a third smaller. The cylinder's just about a third shorter.
Yeah, trust me on this. Mars bars have shrunk. A lot of chocolate bars have shrunk. A lot of things have gone from what it was 500 grams to 450. Yes, you're correct. 1 pound is 450.
You can
grams.
still get the original size Mars bars, but they're like Mars Classic, they're called, and they cost a lot more.
Yeah, they also used to
You
cost
just look at the
10p.
difference.
Used to cost 10p for a Mars bar in the late 80s / early 90s. You were talking 20p at most in 92. These days they're a quid.
No,
More
quid
than
for a
that if
cold.
you're in near a city.
Yeah. Absolutely outrageous.
If I wanted a decent sized Mars bar from the co-op around the corner, it would legitimately run me like £2 minimum.
Jesus.
Yep.
That means that somebody who was on a living wage of, say, £10,000 a year back in the 90s had essentially the same buying power as someone on nearly 50 grand a year. Now,
Yeah.
let that sink in. Yeah.
Anyway, we're supposed to be discussing the horrific nature of living in a fantasy world, not the real world.
That's far more horrific.
Well, I'm going to half and half on that then. I have some flasks on me which used to have oil in, so are you going to ask me to measure how big the flasks are? Or can we just assume they can hold the oil?
The oil is
you're not getting oil.
It's blubber.
You're getting fat.
All right.
Yeah.
Big slabs of white blubbery goodness.
I was about to say,
would I be able to store this, Kiki, in your office?
The dogs will eat it.
Oh, the dogs are in there. God damn
it. I think Kiki's in the bathroom anyway. She can't answer right now.
Right.
Even if the dogs weren't in there, there's still the issue of.
Right. I'll tell you what I'm going to do.
Pounds of flesh.
What I'm going to do, Ginger, is I'm going to use Song of Creation to create a large roll of wax paper, so I can wrap this in that.
Absolutely possible. You will. That will expire long after you've managed to get to a point where the expiration date on that Song of Creation item will be an issue.
Yeah, it's just long enough so we can get back to reality and then distribute it.
Yes.
At which point we probably want to find a wizard with some sort of cold magic.
Just imagine that, casting cone of cold onto some slabs of meat in order to refrigerate them.
I mean, there's probably wizards in your universe who their entire job is just go to work, cast cone of cold all day long, go home.
Goal points for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm pretty sure Ray of Frost would do it.
Yeah.
That's a cantrip.
As is harvesting whale blubber. How goes the getting the gland?
You're going for a gland, are you?
I'm going to go for a gland, and if there's time, I want to cut a surfboard out of one of the flippers.
Okay, well, the flippers are about the size of a small bus.
Yep.
So that's probably not going to happen unless you are just taking a chunk of one of the flippers.
Yeah, basically cut a surfboard-sized chunk of flipper out of the end of one. Something I can surf back.
Again, you are on a rather strict time limit of 22 minutes.
Yep.
Ez is gathering blubber during that time. You can either go for the surfboard of whale flesh.
No, we're going to go for the scent gland.
Or you can try and go for one of those glands.
Definitely go for the gland. Yeah.
I'd say roll me a check.
What type
Describe
of check?
to me your justification for the check, and
Okay.
you can choose what check it is.
Well, the justification of the check is I'm going to go for
well, the circumstances earlier.
I think sleight of hand might, because I'm going to find one of these glands. I'm fairly sure my 22 nature has allowed me to spot and identify where they were. So I'm going to go
your
for
22 nature. Your 22 nature check has informed you that the large stoma like holes in the creature's in the creature's skin.
Mhm.
That is where you will either find the gland or you will find the route to get to the gland. That's
Right.
what that told you.
Okay, so using my
Hey, Drake,
knife.
have a bardic inspiration on me for this.
Okay, thank you. So using my dagger, I am going to delicately cut through the hole, cutting away the flesh until I find the gland, and removing it. I'm going to use sleight of hand with this because it's going to be as dexterous a job as anything else, and that's my dexterity check that I can find.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a sleight of hand roll. This, that's enough to be able to get you basically past the outer, like, muscled wall of the hole, and you're able to get your head inside of it, and you start catching a whiff of something odd, but I'm not going to make you roll for that. And you do end up seeing at the back of a small tube of about 3 feet long, you're able to see what appears to be a kind of almost spherical, but a spherical pinkish looking thing that's held in place seemingly by a series of veins that are connecting it to the outer flesh of the whale. And you get the impression that this is probably something that would store material rather than produce it, as it appears as though that this organ that you're looking at has intentional folds in its flesh where you would imagine it would either expand or contract.
Right.
It does appear as though this particular thing that you're looking at is at least partially full,
Ooh.
and that what you are looking at is not a gland, but a bladder.
Ooh, groovy. Okay. So I'm going to delicately remove the bladder. And
I'll say roll me another sleight of hand,
yeah,
and
okay.
you would have to roll bloody low in order to fail at this.
Well, I've got Ez's bardic inspiration that I could add to it. Anyway, how's 24 do?
Absolutely sufficient. You're able to use your dagger to, over the course of 5-10 minutes, just cutting through all of the connective tissue without actually piercing the bladder, and as a result, you are able to disconnect this organ from the interior of the whale's flesh and carry it out with you. It's about 3 foot wide, so it's pretty big as you take it out of its housing. Like it's
Okay.
it's legitimately about the same size as Bobby in
Okay.
terms of height.
Gross.
Excessively.
Yeah.
Due to the lightly wrinkled nature of it, by the way, it vaguely resembles a scrotum.
I have in my hands a 3 foot by 3 foot sized whale scrotum.
Let me see if I can find an image of what it looks like. Give me a moment.
I don't think we need an image of a 3 foot wide scrotum.
Let's see. There's a very specific thing that I'm looking for from a video game.
Ginge, we don't care what you watch in your own time, but we don't need to see your pictures of small people holding big scrotums.
It sounds very
Epstein? Not Epstein.
it does
What's
say.
his name in the wheelchair?
Oh yeah, on Epstein Island. Stephen Hawking.
Yeah.
Huh. Ah, there it is. So, this is a picture of a gunk seed from Deep Rock Galactic. This is roughly what you are holding. I put it into
I
the
love how this
D&D
picture gives us
reference.
really good idea of scale.
The footprint next to it is for scale, right?
Yeah, let's go with that.
That's a footprint.
Yeah. It is a footprint. Yeah, this is what this is. Imagine that, but of appropriate size. That being about, say, 3 feet across. That's roughly what you are looking at as you see Bobby carry this great, vaguely pink flesh-colored sphere of there. With that said, by the time you are finished extracting this thing, you are on your last charge of flight.
Okay.
Now, whilst Bobby was extracting a bladder, and Ez was extracting some blubber and muscle tissue for purposes, what were the rest of you doing with your new harvest?
Is this thing scaled or is it a hide?
It's odd. Are you familiar with the skin of a dolphin?
I can't say that I've felt one.
Okay. Think when you actually put your hand to the thing's skin, like not from the inside, just as if it was still alive and you weren't harming it. It feels like it has a very rough outer texture that is kind of like sandpaper, but made of a rubber. It's definitely tough.
Does it feel like shark skin?
Yes, but more pliable.
Right. I would like to find some of the battle wounds it's got and see whether or not I can extract some hide of decent quality.
Sure. I don't believe that you guys ever actually physically attacked this thing with a knife. Bobby
I hit it
stabbed it
with
with
my
a
axe
rapier
several
a couple
times.
times. Oh, did you? In that
Yeah,
case, sure. You'd be able to go to one of the axe wounds that Cardgar left.
Great, yeah, I'd like to take some hide that I can tan.
All right. As opposed to cutting through this with dexterity, this is more of just a physical strength kind of scenario. So I would say, I would advise asking one of your currently otherwise unoccupied companions to give you an assist.
Okay.
As I say, the outer skin is quite tough.
It's just Motch here at the moment. So does Reeve want to help me get some hide?
Well, Asri's not here at the present moment, but would be there.
Motch is here.
You hear much? When did much get here?
She just deaf. Oh,
Is-
no, she's
is it-
undeaf.
Is the mic working now?
Your mic is now
Yeah,
working.
there we go.
Yes.
Technology. Technology is brilliant. Yes, I'll happily help with that. Get some hide.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Excellent. In that case, you roll with advantage, and I advise whichever of you has the higher strength score does the roll.
What is Reeve's strength? Mine is a 6.
We have a look. Mine is a 1.
A
What?
1?
That's the modifier, not the actual strength score.
Oh, sorry. Where do I see it?
Oh, just above that in the.
What's the big number?
Yeah, the big number below it. Well,
Oh, 13.
Yeah, that's better than my 6.
All right, so here's what I advise that the pair of you do. Piper, give Bardic Inspiration to Reeve, and then Reeve roll with advantage. Just let's say, let's for the sake of simplicity, say it's an athletics check.
Don't forget to add 1d8.
Yes, 1d8 is would be the Bardic Inspiration from Piper. With a
So that's a
total of
22.
22, I would say you are able to cut out a decent amount of skin from this thing. Pairing it from the underlying connective tissues, you're able to get a decent thick chunk of raw leather.
Awesome. I'm thinking leather jacket.
nice.
You absolutely have enough to be able to make a halfling-sized leather jacket. You might be a bit pressed for material to try to make something of a dwarf or human size.
So it's just Coat. What's Coat up to?
Indeed. What is the elf of the party doing whilst the various short folk quickly fly towards their newly claimed prize and begin butchering it?
I mean, I don't really know what else there is to do. It's a giant corpse, right?
It's a whale,
is.
though, dude.
Yeah,
Is there
so
a specific
let's.
part of it that you're going to try and
I mean,
harvest?
right. Just think like a Japanese person for a second.
Cut off the fins and leave the rest of it, but it's not a shark.
No, the Japanese, they like the whales. They get the fat, they get the meat, they get the.
Yeah, it has well, that's what I mean. Like, I don't really know how this is supposed to help me unless it was a shark.
Yeah. Get more meat, if nothing else.
Okay, yeah, that's basically what I meant by I can't see what else there is to do.
All right, so you're going to try and carve out some meat. I would say that given that Cardgar has already made several open wounds, that would reduce the difficulty of it. Go ahead and roll for me a check of your choice. And
Just a thought.
What would be
Do
the
you wanna try and
consequence
get
of?
Do you want to try and
Oh.
get some of the bones? You might be able to carve them into triangles.
I
gonna
will
be
say that bone isn't an available choice.
Never mind then.
Like, okay, for reference, because I'm not entirely sure that you've been present and paying attention.
I've been paying
The-
attention, but not present, as in I was AFK listening.
I see. So,
Except for that moment
that
where it
case,
disconnected me.
all you need to know in that case is that you have a 22-minute time limit, which realistically is 20 minutes because you're going to need at least some time to try and get back home on the remaining time of your flying rings.
Yeah.
And so effectively you have 22 minutes to try and carve out material, which basically means you get access to things on the surface and maybe a foot into the creature's flesh.
Alright, so pretty much I can just grab as much meat as I can possibly carry.
All right then.
Okay. Not really sure what you want me to roll. I mean, I can't imagine any degree of failure not being like, okay, I guess we'll cut more.
I would say roll me a survival check.
All right.
Oof.
That's a surprisingly good survival check. I would say
And,
that you are able to match Cardgar and are able to.
Also,
collect-
because I hadn't used that bardic inspiration I got near the during last fight.
A
There you go.
24. You know what? Sure. You're able to achieve an even more impressive amount of material from the creature's body than what Cardgar was able to. Using
Yeah.
means that can only be described as elven magic, you manage to parse away a large, singular chunk of outer flesh that basically results in you having an enormous chunk of blubber and muscle fiber.
Excellent. I have no idea what that'll translate into, but sounds good.
Just add into your inventory 14 pounds of whale flesh.
Okay.
And with that, you've managed to gather what you can from the whale, and there is some aspect in the back of your mind that tells you that this thing has started sinking, and there is a sense of impending doom and dread that is approaching you as you stick with this creature as it sinks through the air. Looking straight down gives you an overwhelming sense of dread as you do so. It's you can't quite tell why the idea of down is so terrifying. You just know that it is, and you do not want to go there.
All right. Well, I'm sort of loaded up on whale, so yeah.
Oh,
And the explanation that I've just typed out for that image is not what you're supposed to be seeing. So yeah, as you begin to fly your way back using the last vestiges of power from your rings of flight,
mm-hmm.
you fly back and you all, one by one, over the course of 30 or so seconds, realize that you're still not quite at your destination, and yet the flight of the ring cuts out. It loses
Well,
its slightly magical luster, and you can tell that it has lost all of its potential for the time being.
Do we maintain momentum?
You do for now, but you would estimate that you're still about 5 minutes away from your from the intended island that you originally set off from.
right. I would like to open up the parlor in front of us so that we all tumble through the door. It's going to be very uncomfortable for us in there, but inside I've got a whole bunch. I've got about 20 thunderstones, which we can probably use to get home.
Ah,
In
good idea.
fact, if I just
Okay.
tumble through myself, I can probably just get them and deliver them to the others, right?
Fair enough.
Does that work, Ginge?
It could. Okay, so you want to open up the parlor, do you?
Yep, right in front of me,
You-
so that I fall into it.
Okay. Those of you who are aware of each other's positions are able to see it as suddenly a large doorway, not with an actual door, just the aperture itself, suddenly appears and seemingly instantaneously swallows your companion, Piper. As the rest of you continue on your ballistic trajectory like arcs of flight, she is left far behind.
I would then like to pick up my my thunderstones and jump back out of the door in the direction of the island.
Okay. The door is facing away from the island because of how you were flying towards it, opened it up
In
in
that
front
case,
of
I'll
you and fell into it. I
step
will
out
say
and
that
propel
you
myself
could.
with a thunderstone.
I was about to say that. So you can consume one of your How many thunderstones did you have? You said
I've
you had
got 20 marbles and 10 tennis balls.
Okay. I would say if you want to, you can consume 2 or 3 of the marbles or 1 of the tennis balls to catch up with the rest of your party and then proceed to go past them.
Right. Well, I'll knock off. Can I knock off 4 marbles? In fact, let's knock off 4 marbles, take it down to 16. And then there's 4 other party members, yeah?
There are, yes.
So I will give them 4 marble thunderstones each, which they can use to get around. Essentially, I'm knocking myself another one off in addition to that 2 or 3 you said, making it 4, in order to shuffle between them, as it were. I'm
That
happy
makes
to
sense.
hold on to one of them and push off if that's what needs be, but gives them something they can move around with.
All right. So, I would say with that, you are able to distribute the marble-sized thunderstones to the other members of your party. And as a result, the rest of your party are able to once again fly through the use of thunderstones. That being said, the last time you tried to fly with thunderstones and arrive at a given destination, you had to roll dexterity saving throws to see if you could stick the landing.
No problem.
So, I would like everybody to roll me dexterity saving throws as they try to stick the landing.
I may need a bardic for this one.
Yeah, can we all, but we're all spending the time getting there. Can we all inspire each other as we go?
You're talking about sticking the landing. It sounds kind of like acrobatics to me. Not that that makes literally any difference to me. So yeah,
I'm gonna roll my bardic inspiration that I was given to add to my thing there.
All right.
yay, 22.
As you can have my bardic inspiration.
Oh, wow, I'm probably going to need it. Is
So-
this dex or
I get 2,
acrobatics?
yeah,
Sorry.
5. I'll take the 5.
This is a dexterity saving throw. The
Okay.
DC is 15. For every point below 15, you take a d6 of damage as you land.
Oh, I got a 1.
Good.
Indeed, you did.
Um,
But that combined with the 13 means that so far we have Bobby, who rolls a total of a 17, so he manages to stick the landing, managing to quite expertly land inside of a tree and slow himself down that way. Coatrack does something similar, grabbing onto a branch and turning himself into a bit of a Catherine wheel as he spins about and eventually bleeds off his momentum that way. Cardgar again aims for the tree cover, and whilst he does manage to slow himself down by breaking several branches, he does ultimately end up slamming into the trunk of a tree, and in doing so, take 1d6 damage.
All right.
Reeve and Piper both rolling a 22. I would say the pair of you are able to aid each other in bleeding off your excess momentum, and you do eventually arrive back at the isle containing the shrine that you guys originally came here for, with your newly found whale bits in tow, with only one of you having taken 5 bludgeoning damage. Rather impressive, if you ask me. That could have potentially gone absolutely terribly.
I'm glad I stashed those thunderstones.
Absolutely. Anyway, as all of you arrive into a mostly soft landing, and all find yourselves able to walk away either undamaged or only lightly. You quickly come to the realization that the professor has stood up and has his wand at the ready, seemingly not realizing that the series of rustling thumps and bangs and crashes and things of that nature are in fact the party returning. As he sees you emerge from the foliage of this rather sparsely vegetated land, he looks at you all and has an immediate sense of relief wash across his face as he says, "Oh, thank the gods. I was worried that
Professor,
some...
would you
Huh?
like a whale steak?
Huh? What?
Whale steaks. We're having whale steaks. Do you want one?
He looks at you with a sense of confusion. As you could see, his facial expression matches his thought process as he seemingly jumps from various question to question without actually managing to voice any of them until he eventually says, "Huh? What?"
I will point at the whale in the
I'll
distance.
hold one of the rat cuts of meat out to him.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to produce my fishing line. We went and did a bit of fishing, you see.
And this is whale.
Yeah.
Sky whale.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that would explain why you were gone for so long.
It was only half an hour or so.
Wait. You see as his eyes dart down to the ring on your finger as he says, "But you arrived back here without the use of a flight ring, correct?"
Yeah.
And none of you have the capacity for flight already, do you?
No,
We-
not exactly, no.
We have some thunderstones with us. Fine.
We did a bit of swimming.
You're all insane.
Oh, also, I got this.
Wait,
And
hang on.
hold up
Where
the
did you find... Where did you find all of these things?
We harvested them from the sky whale after we killed it.
You slew a sky whale.
Yeah.
Again, look. I point at the sky whale.
In the distance. A long way.
Yeah.
The sky whale is quite some distance away, and from this distance it's easy to understand how it could be mistaken for an island. It's also worth pointing out at this point that it is not visible from beneath the skyline of the trees, and you suspect that it has actually fallen a considerable distance compared to its elevation before you arrived at it.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go up with the gland bladder thing that I've got and go, look, I got one of these out of it as well. Thought it might be quite interesting and useful.
It was really fun, actually. I got to ride it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Piper was riding the whole thing the whole way there, stabbing it in the nose with like what was that thing? It was like some sort of illusion thing that was.
You couldn't actually see it. Only the whale could see
Oh
it.
right, okay, yeah. No, Piper was just riding it, doing some sort of spell on it. I mean, I nearly died.
You're not joking here, are you?
No,
You
look.
really did slay a sky whale.
Yeah.
I point at both Essig and Bobby. They got eaten by it.
Oh yeah, they got eaten. Yeah, we had to make it puke.
That would explain the smell.
Mm-hmm.
So you use the vials of vanilla.
Yeah.
Well, we figured you gave them to us for a reason.
Okay. Those vials are only to be used in an emergency.
It was an emergency. They were being eaten.
They got eaten.
You don't... Oh. He rubs
So
his
do you want a
temples
steak or
with
not?
obvious frustration. Yes, I want a steak.
Perfect.
So can we barbecue
Bobby, let's
here?
get the
or-
grill going.
I was going to say, can we cook them up here, or do we have to get back and we'll cook them up back at the uni?
If you're confident in your ability to strike a fire here, I don't see any reason why not.
Oh, I reckon we can strike a fire
Just to be clear,
Mhm.
do you how many of those vials did you use?
All of them, I think.
here. You know, it'd be like two. It was two of them that got eaten. I mean, I got eaten as well, but I was dead at the time, so I didn't get to use one. I mean, I got better.
Dead or merely
I mean, I got better.
injured?
I'm
He was
not
unconscious.
actually dead.
Okay, so you were not dead. Okay, right, okay. So you don't have access to revivification.
I mean, I had to dunk mine.
Decided to try and kill a sky whale.
Didn't try.
How did you survive?
Well, we kept stabbing it until it died.
I hit it on the nose a few times and it died.
Yeah. Also, Shatter seemed to really, really do a number on it. Did not like Shatter.
Well, I imagine not. Shatter's a nasty spell.
Yeah. Got it right in the eye with
Okay.
one.
Do you those vials? Do you know how expensive those are?
No.
I see. They're
Robert,
about
do you know?
60 piece, and you will be expected to pay that back to the menagerie.
Okay.
About what, sorry?
Those
You cut out.
vials that you cracked in order to avoid being digested by the whale. They require an exotic spice that can only be grown by importing it over from the continent of Akavir.
And
It's
exactly
expensive.
how many of these do you get imported, and how expensive are those? I dump the 3 foot by 3 foot sized scrotum gland at his feet.
Well,
That excreted some sort of cloud that knocked a bunch of our party senseless for a bit.
Oh, it made me really want to be friends with that whale. He was such a good. He was great up until it wore off.
right.
My friends over here were happy to be eaten
Yeah.
by it.
Seems about half full.
Well,
Worth-
I'll be honest, I have not personally seen one of these, though I do know that they are a bladder for containing the vaporous material that these things emit. I would hazard a guess that you are partially right. It looks as though it could potentially stretch out a little bit more. Hang on just a moment. He pulls out a couple of copper pieces and places them upon the bladder thing, and then just casts a quick little spell that's, I would say, roll an Arcana check, each of you who can be bothered.
Okay. Arcana.
Anybody who rolls a 15 or higher is able to recognize that this is a casting of the spell Gentle Repose.
Ah,
What's that?
it stops things from rotting.
Ah.
Allows for mending. We were literally discussing it earlier.
Ah.
Mhm. Well, now that that's sorted, be careful not to let those coins fall off the top of it. Anyway.
Got some nice hide
you
as well. I'm
mentioned-
thinking I might make a jacket.
Well, yes. He looks a little bit lost for words at this point before promptly saying, "About that steak, if you can gather some burning material together, I can ignite it, assuming you don't have the capacity for prestidigitation yourself."
Brilliant. Karga, you've got an axe. Do you want to take these trees?
Cargo's basically he's got quite a few branches still caught in his jacket, so he just pulls a few of them out and just hands them over.
I have prestidigitation.
Right, I'm presuming collectively we can get a fire together and start grilling these steaks.
I think probably.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking
You
of
can-
prestidigitation, it might be a good idea to clean off the people who got eaten. I mean, I wasn't going to
Well,
say
the pe-
anything, but
The surprising
guys might
thing
need a
is
shower.
that the interior of the Sky Whale wasn't actually all that much in terms of messy. It was mostly just very, very buffeting in the air filled. You're actually
Salivery?
not entirely sure. Not even salivary. You're not entirely sure how one would go about being digested inside one of these things, and not at least not from
I-
the part of the stomach that's those of you who found yourselves ingested ended up experiencing. It
I
was
didn't
just
actually.
very-
Go on, sorry.
the interior of the Sky Whale's stomach was dark, fleshy, dry, and seemingly filled with air currents that just kept on buffeting you around as you were inside of the interior of the thing.
Death by erosion.
But in any case, it doesn't take you long for a small fire to get going. Do you have any field cooking equipment?
Oh, I think so. Let's have a quick.
I've got brewing equipment. I don't know if that will help.
It wouldn't.
I mean, it's a fire. We get a stick. We shove stick through one end of the steak to the other end of the steak, and just fucking hold it over the fire.
I mean, if we want to like a giant skillet, I can literally just summon one up.
Yeah, we could do. Get a big skillet, slap that in there. Bit of whale fat to fry it. Lovely.
Yeah.
Apparently, I cut out during the part where the professor informed you that each of those vials was 60 gold pieces apiece.
Did.
Oh.
Yeah, they're costly, and it wasn't expected that you would end up having to use one, but generally speaking, it's expected that 60 gold is worth the life of a is worth an adventurer's life. So those of you who cracked a vial will have to pay that back.
Assuming that it's not going to come out of the what's it called. Assuming it's not covered by the scrotum.
That is assuming so, yes. Speaking of, over the course of the next 10-15 minutes, as the party plus the Professor Lysander get together and start preparing an afternoon meal, I would ask that one of you roll me a survival check for cooking this thing, unless you have cook's tools, in which case feel free to roll those instead.
Oh, I don't have them on my couch sheet, but I've summoned them up. So
Well,
Okay. I would say if you do have cook's tools, that reduces the DC of getting a good result, though you are not proficient with them. So I would say roll me a check of your choice.
Hold on. Most people are proficient with cooking. They have to do it at least once a day.
yeah, we're adventurers. We travel and cook on the road.
But
You travel and cook, but you don't make gourmet things. You can expect like you have a very rare steak. Not rare as in the level of doneness, as in the level of how difficult it is to acquire. You're not
That's
used to
fair.
dealing with whale
I mean,
meat.
does anyone's background lean towards cooking?
Yeah, with Shire folk, Bobby's like gonna be great at it.
I mean, you are familiar with halfling law, right? And
Yeah, well,
and
yeah,
the eating
I
7
felt I
meals
still
a
had
day
to
kind of
ask.
thing. I don't have
No.
anything there that describes these types of things as a skill check, but I'll roll survival.
Can I?
And
And
I'm
I
gonna
haven't
be
seen.
I'm gonna be helping, so maybe he can get advantage on that.
I was going to
Maybe that's
say,
why he couldn't.
can I help to provide advantage? And if you give bardic inspiration, I haven't actually seen the roll yet. I'm on another tab, so I don't even know what you rolled.
Sure, I would say that. Well, let's be honest. It's expected that this would be a team effort at this point, from the way you guys typically do these things. So go ahead and roll Bardic Inspiration as well, Trig.
Oh, okay.
It's a D8
And
now. Drew.
make sure it's card guards so that you get 2 and pick the best.
I'll take the 8.
Alright.
Well, with a total of what is that? 27. You are able to mostly improvise your way into achieving some expertly cooked, albeit largely bland, whale steaks.
Ah,
They
question.
are.
Question.
Go on.
Can I summon in some herbs and spices?
You can if you want to.
I'm just burning through all my second level spell slots on this, just so you know, guys.
That's cool. I was tempted to add some vanilla flavoring to it.
Well, pour one of those vanilla essences into the mix.
Just to annoy the
Wait,
professor.
wait until the professor tastes it and look at his face. Make sure we capture it on one of those pieces of psychic paper.
You know what? I'm fuck it. I'm gonna do it. Yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna deduct the 60 gold now. Just to.
And
Okay, so you sacrifice a highly expensive concentrated vanilla extract.
Yep.
Imported from the next continent over.
Yep.
Just for the sake of pulling a prank on a professor.
Fuck yeah.
it's not just a prank. It's
not
to
just
actually
that.
make the food taste better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not just that, Ginge.
Vanilla on
Also-
the whale steak won't make it taste better, just to be clear.
Ginge,
I mean, it
Ginge,
might taste
not
quite
just
airy.
that. It's also sacrificing a what's it called? A psychic paper piece, so that we can capture his
Indeed.
expression when he notices.
You know what? You can have you can give yourself a point of DM inspiration for that. So if you already have one, feel free to hand it to somebody else. This is just excessive, and I love it.
Right. We've only got 3
Yeah.
bits of psychic paper left. If we're using it for a yeah, we'll give him a portrait of the expression on his face as he eats it and realizes he's eating vanilla flavored whale steak.
All right, before you pour that in, can I do some sort of roll to work out whether or not this will ruin a steak for the rest of us? Because if so, I'm going to encourage
you
that
don't
you
need
on his.
you
serving.
don't need to roll for it. You know for a fact that will completely ruin and overpower the flavor of the steak.
So I would like to like, I'm not discouraging Bobby from doing this. I'm saying add it after we plate it up and serve it to him, just so we can enjoy our steaks. I've
Fine,
already
yep.
spent a song of creation to give us all the herbs and spices we need.
Okay.
I've literally summoned a spice rack.
We only need a bit of garlic and some rosemary. We've already got the fats to cook it.
When we serve it up, I'm also going to break out. I have still got a little bit of dwarven bread left over, so I'm going to share that out with everyone.
Lovely.
I'm just trying to find an appropriate image to describe the facial expression of the. There we go. This is actually about perfect. You see the professor take a nice chunk of this piece of steak and he pops it in his mouth and almost immediately pulls this face. You get the distinct impression that he is a bit taken aback by this particular flavor combination of whale steak plus extremely concentrated vanilla.
Oh, that's delicious.
It is, but Good God. For reference, by the way, this is you know that vanilla extract that you can buy for use in baking, and they typically say add 1 drop to a given recipe in order to add that vanilla flavor to it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, imagine that intensified several times, and you have like an ampule of it that's several inches long and an inch wide.
Yep. Delicious.
It's a lot of vanilla.
I'm going to ask the professor, what's the matter? Is that a bit too vanilla for you? Would you like something with a bit more spice to it?
He looks at you and he just says, "This is both the first time and the last time that I'm going to be joining you on one of these expeditions. I hope you realize that."
You're missing out on all the fun.
I think your definition of fun is not what I would agree with. Anyway, now that I've been treated to this meal, he says, putting it down and pushing it aside, I would like to relay to you the information as to what I've been able to glean from this shrine. As you can see, I've been able to uncover the entirety of the mural that extends around the outer reach of this pool of yours. It goes down by about 1.5 feet and seemingly tells a story of some sort.
A story, you say? Go on.
So, he points towards the shrine and walks over to it, coaxing you each of you to follow him as he goes, arriving at a specific point and then saying, "So, it seems as though the story starts off here with this here depiction of a village of some kind. It appears to me as though it is specifically of some island nation of sorts. You can see here that there's an artistic representation here of what I believe to be a kraken. Now, this story, from what I've been able to tell, cross-referencing it with some information I've exchanged through the use of the sending spell with some of my colleagues back in the menagerie, it appears to depict a series of events, one where a given citizen of whatever island nation this once was uh, offended the god of the seas, Charybdis. And in doing so, Charybdis was able to levy the powers of the sky goddess Zephyrus to conjure forth these great storms that would batter the isle for whoever knows how long. Eventually, it seems as though some amount of time passes, though there's obviously so much you can gather from pictograms. And eventually the islanders seemingly made a grand sacrifice as some form of apology, and in doing so was able to convince the storm-bearing god of the sea to relent. Now, from what I'm able to see, it looks as though that this shrine here has been made as some form of memorial, as a kind of thanks, if you will. It strikes me as odd that the realm of the god of air would contain a shrine hailing the cooperation between her and the god of water. It strikes me as even more odd that the resulting aspect of the god of water would manifest in these stones that you were able to acquire, these aqua stones, as they're known. See, these are not typical aqua stones. These seem to be producing drinkable water. Typically, these things produce salt water, like what you would experience from dipping your hand and taking a slurp of the sea. No, this is very unusual and unique. Personally, I believe that such a shrine is mirrored within the realm of the elemental plane of water. Though that's just speculation. That's really all the
Does it say where
information
this
I'm able
village
to gather,
was?
I'm afraid. It doesn't, though there are potential candidates. There's a chain of isles to the far south of the East Law. It's long past the equator, and these isles have always been inhabited by folk of unusual nature. They're believed to have been derived from the elves, but they have an odd affinity towards the water. And it's believed that it's possible that this may be one of those isles, the archipelago.
The elves?
Indeed. Elves that, whilst they do not have any particularly strong affinity to the water itself, have created a selection of magics that allow them to survive in that environment with a greater level of ease than most might. They're no different from the kind of elves that you may see in the Dora and Maya, but as I say, they have a particular affinity towards the sea. With that said,
So what do you reckon? We should probably go to... We could try and find the mirror of this thing in the plane of water and see what kind of stones that one has. Because if this one has the water stones, do you think that one will have, I don't know, a stone that produces a pleasant breeze?
Bubble stones. Produce bubbles.
well, he picks up a rock and says, well, this is a thunderstone. And I somehow suspect that whatever rocks may or may not exist in the mirror of this particular shrine are probably just thunderstones. These things can be used with the right skill to, instead of putting out all of their air at once, can be coaxed into simply letting loose a thin stream. Whatever mirror shrine that I suspect to exist on that plane probably just has a small stream of bubbles rising out from the seabed.
So if we could combine one of these stones with one of those other stones, producing a steady breeze, all we'd need is a firestone as well, and we could make a perpetual smoker.
Smoker?
Yeah, like a big barrel that you put a fire underneath, and the smoke cooks the meat.
Yeah, you put in a tray of water as well to help it, keep meat moist.
I don't think that would work. As far as I don't consider myself to be an expert in the matter of smoking meat, but typically I would expect that you would need some level of smoke for that.
Yeah, you stick some sticks in there. Wood.
Okay, but then why are you using a firestone?
Giggles.
The firestones don't actually produce fire, they just get hot.
Okay. Yes, that wouldn't work.
I have
Maybe an oven.
it is possible to create firestones that can produce a plasma, but those are rare.
Are there stones that produce spark?
Like electricity?
A
Like
spark
lightning?
stone. Yes, like lightning.
I do know of a particular elven artificer who lives over in the Empire that was experimenting with reattuning the elemental stones, but all I know was that he was able to convert a thunderstone into a firestone and back. I don't remember if any other experiments with non-naturally occurring such things were ever attempted. I'm just curious. Maybe that's something that you should try to endeavour to do yourself. Speak to
You're not
this.
serious about not joining us on future endeavours, by the way, are you, Professor? I mean, it's always good to have someone with some knowledge and expertise around so we know what we're collecting.
Well, if you intend to continue fighting great creatures that are likely to get you killed, then probably not. Especially if you expect me to get involved.
Are you
Especially if you're-
suggesting that? Are you suggesting that we can we should be finding things without any inherent risk? I mean, great risk comes with great reward.
What I'm suggesting is that I don't appreciate you potentially putting yourselves at risk whilst I'm considered the most senior member of a given expedition. If you were to all die, that would look bad on me. Of course, it would also be bad on you, because you'd be dead.
Much more convinced that that's the bad thing. I have to say, I don't really care too much about how you feel after we're dead. Because, can't.
Well, that's the wonderful thing about being dead, isn't it?
Yeah.
Once you're dead, you don't really have to care about what the living think.
Pretty much.
After all, it's not your problem anymore.
No.
Have you ever been resurrected, by the way?
No, not so far. As I said, nearly died
Can't
last
recommend
with the whale. It was a bit touch and go there. But
Yeah, I definitely can't recommend it. It's... I suppose the best way to describe it would be, if the act of dying is like having a knife rammed through you, then the act of being revived is like having that knife twisted. It's horrendous.
fair enough.
And yes, the only reason why I could say this is because I myself have been on that side of things. Let me tell you, it's good to have a office that exists completely disconnected from any of the test subjects that exist within the menagerie.
Fair.
We haven't had a breakout in well over 30 years, and I hope to keep that going for longer.
Breakout.
Yes, breakout. We once played host to a Naga. It promptly slaughtered certain select members of the menagerie and rampaged about the university grounds until it was eventually put down with a particularly impressive blast of fire from one of the other wizards who came over to help over from the Alabaster Lyceum. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see its end because I was dead at the time. We were able to put up the necessary funds to get everybody revived, but there's still a few who still hold some level of trauma there. Anyway, now that I've done my initial analysis on this archaeological site, I ask if there is anything that the lot of you want to do whilst you are here in the elemental plane of air. I see you've already had your adventure fighting a sky whale. But if there's anything
Well-
else you wish to speak up now.
Well, we did burn through all of our small thunderstones getting back there. It'd be good to pick up a few more on the way home.
True.
You have that lantern, don't you? The thing that produces the great sphere of darkness.
I do, yes. Use it to look for thunderstones.
According to Riker, that was very useful in locating some.
Yep. Here, let me show you. Boop. Opens lamp.
Oh,
Enjoy-
heavens!
Enjoy darkness.
He's
I
definitely
would-
within the radius of the inner sphere as you open this, and as a result, you're all completely blinded.
Mm-hmm. I shall step back a little.
As you do so, he eventually is. The sphere of darkness has eventually moved such that he's within the outer sphere of it, and says, "Ah, yes, I can see now. This thunderstone is quite obvious when it's held in this twilight, isn't it? Curious.
Absolutely.
Right, everybody
You know,
make note of where
this
they are.
realm never.
Right, go on.
You know, this realm never actually experiences nighttime.
God,
It's curious,
I
actually.
bet sales of coffee must be really high around here. Where do people sleep?
Well, that's the thing. They don't. In order for people like you and I, who are exposed to nighttime on a regular basis, we are gifted with the opportunity to have our slumber. But the denizens of the elemental plane of air seemingly have forgone this necessity.
Blame why
They
there's
have
air on
periods
that.
of-
Elementals are so testy.
Hmm.
Entirely possible, though I suspect that that's more so just an aspect of territorial nature. No, the denizens of the elemental plane of air, like the Aarakocra, they don't need to sleep. They still need time to rest and recuperate, but they're fully conscious, or at least partially so, the entire time. Probably why their lives are so short.
Aarakocra. Are they like bird things?
Yes, I believe I told you about them last time we spoke.
Yeah, yeah.
They're the creatures that are somewhat like humanoid birds, but they have 6 limbs rather than 4.
That. I remember now.
I believe one of you tried to compare them to insects.
Yes.
Anyway, unless there's anything else that you all want to do here, I think it is a perfectly good idea for us to call up the gate to send us in a portal to take us home.
Sounds like a good idea.
How many thunderstones can we recoup, Ginge?
Well, do you attempt to do so in the time between now and the usual extraction time, or are you going to request some extra time out in the field?
I'm doing it while we've got the twilight of the lantern. I just want marbles.
Righto. I would say roll me 3d12, and that's how many thunderstones you're able to get. Half of them will be the tennis ball sized ones.
Okay.
Well, there you go. 11 marbles
that-
and 11 tennis balls.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'd say it takes you about an hour to gather this much,
Mhm.
and the majority of them are found from within a small cave that you're able to find embedded into the miniature mountain that is a part of this existing isle. That being said, when you eventually return, the professor looks at you carrying this great sack of thunderstones and says, "Ah, making yourself a collection, I see.
They came in quite handy just earlier on.
Indeed, with careful use of them, you are able to propel yourself through the air at fairly terrifying speeds, though they become a little bit less useful when used in the prime material, especially Principalis. Typically, these things get used as means by which to, well, the dwarves have found use for them. Blowing things up inside of their mines and such.
Yep, I was thinking that something like that could probably be done.
You know, they have to be treated before that they can be used for that style of explosion. Only the particularly small ones actually go bang if you throw them at the ground hard enough. The larger they are, the more stable they become.
I see.
How large are you talking? I mean, these are the biggest I've got. I'll hold up the tennis ball one.
Oh, well, occasionally you'll find something of, say, yay size, and he points to the big gland that he cast gentle repose on earlier.
Oh. Well, that would be a
Get
big
something of
stone.
that.
Hold on, I've got a
Yes.
great idea. And can I run back to the cave that I found, and cast a spell into it, roughly where we found the large amount of
The island that you originally found thunderstones on was a different island to this one.
yeah, but the one we were on at the
The
moment where we found them.
yes,
Yeah.
you'll be able to go there.
Okay. What happens if I cast, I don't know, like shatter on them in the area?
All right, so you identify the thunderstones and you cast shatter on them.
Yeah.
A few different things happen. First of all of the marble-sized ones that you're able to catch end up.
No, I'm not.
They just
I'm not doing this
instantaneously.
on Kiki's collection of them. I went to the cave where we
Yeah, I
got
know.
them. Okay, just make sure.
Kiki didn't grab all the ones in that cave.
Okay, yeah, that's what I figured.
As you cast the spell into the cave, a few of the smaller ones, almost in response, glow brightly before going off like small bombs. The larger ones, though, they just seem to crack open and hiss a lot. You do notice that after a few seconds of the smaller one, of the tennis ball sized ones cracking and hissing, they seemingly seal themselves back up again.
Interesting. So, seeing as I've just smashed all of the small ones up, can I grab a couple of the larger ones whilst I'm there?
Sure, I'd say you can have 3 of the tennis ball sized ones.
Okay, groovy.
The majority of them have already been cleared out by Kiki.
Cool.
But yeah, from what you're able to understand from what the professor says, the larger the thunderstone is, the less of a instantaneous release of all of its air it's able to achieve, and it's instead switches to more of a slow release. They can be modified via artificial means in order to give the more explosive qualities to the larger stones, but the professor isn't able to explain or elaborate on that. He just simply knows it's a process that does exist. But with that said, it doesn't take long for you to see that the gate is once again opened up and a large inverted cone of light is presented to you all. The professor jumps through first, and I presume each of you go through as well, or does any of you intentionally stay behind?
Waiting the appropriate few seconds between. Yeah, I think. Oh, I'm going to go through.
Why so? So, that said, you arrive back at the menagerie, and all of your loot is in tow. The giant bladder is present, the various pounds of flesh are present. Do you want to keep the bladder, or are you going to be trying to pawn it off to anybody within the menagerie or even further afield?
I want to know what it's worth. I wouldn't mind getting some time to investigate it a little bit. I think it would be good if Cardgar could use his creation ability to recreate the liquid. Should he be able to? So he needs to, you know.
Yeah, I will. I will examine it.
But
Is it magical in nature?
It does appear to be not magical. You suspect that this is not something that generates this apparently aphrodisiac-like material, but instead merely stores it for a rapid, large volume release.
Oh, I meant the material itself.
Oh, the material that the bladder's made of.
No, the content within it.
Ah, the actual fluid? Yes, that does seem to have a twinge of magicalness to it. You suspect that it's more so in line with the act of alchemy and potion brewing rather than straight up magic.
I would like to try and replicate a vial of it
Using which particular method?
using performance of creation.
All right. I would say you are able to recreate it. I'm not going to make you roll for that.
Okay, I will hand the vial to Bobby and say, "Here you go. Have fun."
groovy. I mean, that's not going to last very long.
It would last. I think it lasts 4 hours. I think.
I don't know why I'm being given this point in time. I was thinking you would be able to create it at a time when you feel it's.
Well, I had to find out if I could create it first, and
I
now
mean,
I have it. I'm
okay.
giving you it, so we know it. Yes, I can create it. And given what's the size I can go up to? It's like 5 foot cubed, isn't it? I think that's how big the dry ice was when we tried that.
Yes, that's right. It takes up a 5 by 5 by 5 cube. So, in theory, you could make a tank filled with this stuff, filled with a ridiculous quantity of this stuff.
Oh, by the way, on next level, performance creation goes up to large size, so that would be what, 10 by 10 by 10.
Yep. Cube square law goes a bit nutty.
So lots of material.
Hmm.
Well, you got a vial of it if you want to use it on something, Trig.
Cool.
Do suggest
Alrighty.
we try using it when we do not have a whale to see like what effect it has without whale.
Oh yeah, I'm fully thinking we try it out on your bear.
Why try out on my bear?
Well, we don't have a guinea pig, and it's the closest thing I can think of.
What about your dog?
My dog's useful.
Oh, my bear's going to be useful.
We might make it the bear extraordinarily friendly towards.
Oh, that's a good point.
Either that, or we are at a university. We could try it out on some students.
Even better point. That sounds like it could be fun.
Just go to a party and just fucking drop it on the floor and let it crack open. Then retire to a separate room and observe.
Are you saying this within earshot of the professor?
What, like cast it into the vents above a lecture hall or something?
Yeah, yeah. Why not?
Are you discussing this out of character or in character? And if
I'm
This
in
is
gonna
very
go.
much in character.
I'm gonna go within character. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Alright, well, are you making some effort to remain quiet while you discuss this, or are you just letting the professor listen in?
Oh no, we're being loud and clearly joking. Slash not, maybe not really. With it, we're having a laugh with the idea. You know, much in the
Well,
way as we would discuss sort of stuff that, and then go in Minecraft, of course.
well, as you say this, the professor looks at you with a look that is very clearly not joking, as he says, "You know, you could get permission to have such a study actually take place. Given the fact that it's pretty clear that exposure to this material doesn't have any long-term harmful effects, at the very least, from what observations can be made from how it has affected you, you could very well be given a research grant.
Ah,
And let me tell you, there's
you,
more than a few students who'd be perfectly willing to sacrifice a few hours of being in a potential drug-induced daze if you were to pay them a decent wage."
most students will pay for that type of thing. Has been my experience. In game, of course.
Of course.
In Minecraft. um, Bobby likes the sound of the idea of getting paid to put students in a drug-induced thing. He goes, oh, okay. Well, you'll have to tell me who we talk to about that. That sounds hilarious.
Hilarious.
I
Humor
mean,
has nothing to do with it. This would be a matter of scientific research.
absolutely.
If it just so happens that you can't help but giggle at the idea of seeing a bunch of students happily daze around whilst on some chemical concoction from another realm, then that's just a side benefit. And he smiles.
Absolutely. Right.
Anyway, if you want to try and discuss that for the purposes of research grants and things of that nature, that's something that I could potentially help you with. Though ultimately, it would be down to the ethics committee to determine whether or not such an experiment is permissible.
Fair enough. Well, let's get something along those lines set up. And meanwhile, we're gonna have to work out what to do with this giant ball bag. Because
Indeed.
I don't want it set in my studio apartment. For a start, the dog will probably try to eat it.
That would be unpleasant, especially for the dog. The
Potentially.
I mean, I for
the
one like
university does have the capacity to store such a thing for you, though, given its biological and most certainly perishable nature, it would require the upkeep of somebody coming in and repeatedly casting gentle repose on it every once in a while. If, however, you were willing to part ways with it, I'm sure that I'd be able to convince whoever is in charge of such expenditures that it would be worth a few hundred gold to have a small supply of this particular chemical at the ready.
Sounds good.
well, I would quite like to find someone to tan this hide and turn it into a jacket for me. You don't know anyone for that, do you?
I don't know in the slightest who you would be able to speak to about turning sky whale hide into something suitable for clothing.
Do you know any good tanneries?
Not in the slightest.
They will probably be outside of town. I'm going to say this out of character because I don't know if Bobby would know anything about this, but tanneries usually sat on the outskirts of towns because
Yep, because they fucking stink.
They fucking really hum, yeah.
I mean,
It
they
is- it is-
literally deal with dead flesh and embalming fluids. At the
It's
very least,
yeah.
stuff that's close enough to embalming fluids.
It's sort of it's lye and acids and various things like that you. It's not,
Turpentine.
yeah, it's not actually dissimilar from same process that you use to make gun cotton actually. In that you sort of mix alkalis and acids one after another in washes.
Mm.
It's yeah.
Gun cotton is fun, by the way.
Gun cotton is loads of fun, and I am in no way, shape, or form saying that I know how to make it.
Indeed.
Sulfuric acid, nitric acid. Sorry.
All I'll say on the matter is that magician's paper can be used to propel lead at hive speed. But that said, let's carry on with the D&D game.
Indeed.
So, you've arrived back at the menagerie after your latest escapade into the elemental plane of air. The Professor Lysander has made his way off to his own quarters for reasons you can only presume to be filing paperwork, and your party has been given a reward of 500 gold pieces for the expedition. That is to be deducted for the price of the vials that you guys have consumed. So 500 take away 180. And how much would that be?
320.
Surely it's 100 each, and the ones who wasted their vials only get 40.
If that's how you guys want to do it, then so be. But as of right now, the party is handed a bag containing 320 gold pieces after your various unused vials and rings of flight have been returned to the equipment kiosk.
Oh, unless anyone's got any problem with that, I say that's how we should divide it.
Seems fair.
Those who didn't use their vial get 100.
No,
Those who
that
did
seems
get 40.
fairly mean. Now, I used my vial. In fact, I've already deducted the 60 from my total for the vial. So,
Then you get you get 100 now to make it into
Are you
a
talking
pool.
about?
no.
Sorry, are we
no.
talking about the vial we used to make the whale puke or something
Yeah,
else?
they're talking about that. No, I'm not going to charge people in the group for the fact that they failed a throw and had to use a thing to save themselves that we were supplied with. We should all cop the cost of the use of
Sounds
those.
very socialist of you.
No, it sounds like I don't want to alienate members of the party. We all did the mission. We all copped the risk and reaped the reward equally on it. That's not socialist. That's just not being.
No, and it's 68 gold each isn't too bad.
Okay, so add 68.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, some downtime for everyone now, like whilst their characters recover, or what do we do next?
Okay. Well, right. Did that include the getting rid of the giant bollock of evil gas? That included in the couple of hundred?
Ginger, you've muted yourself.
Ginge?
Yeah, he said he'd just go into the bathroom in the
I think
roll
he,
20
I think
chat.
he said, I think he said it was 500 for
Also,
what
I'll
we
be right
did,
back too.
not counting
Right, I'm back again.
our spoils.
And yes, that is correct. It's 500 for the overall mission, And if you want to sell on any of the equipment that you have picked up from the elemental plane of air,
Yep.
that would be different amounts of gold depending on exactly what it is you want to sell.
Right. Well, let's sell the giant ball bag.
Do we have any plans for the well blubber, or do we want to sell that as well?
Well, starting off with the bladder, you were able to sell the bladder and its contents for a total of 150 gold. The university is happy to pay you that much for the purposes of having this exotic piece of material at the ready and at hand.
150 gold.
Hmm.
Surely it's a significantly more rare than the vanilla extract.
Yes and no. I mean, one whale contains
Urchin.
many of these bladders.
Yes.
And if you guys were properly equipped for the purposes of having an entire team at the ready to go in and butcher this thing and harvest all the material, you'd be able to get many thousands of gold worth of material from it. But
And
you
how much vanilla
current-
extract would they have to use for that as well, given that the mist affects everyone?
Well, it depends. If they had people that were sufficiently equipped to not be hit by it by either attacking from a distance or simply had a few people acting as sacrificial lambs for the purposes of not having everybody get hit by it, it wouldn't be too difficult in order to have a properly equipped team harvest an entire whale. But yes, you're able to sell on this particular bladder for 150 to the university if you so wish.
Cool.
What do we want to do about the whale blubber and remaining whale meat?
I don't see any need for my whale flesh, so I'm happy to sell it.
Yeah, I'm going to keep the thing in that case, and
Yeah, it would equate to 30 gold each if we sold it.
yeah,
Isn't this
That's
thing
not
like
even a
half your
healing potion.
size?
yeah, it's
Like, how are you moving it around?
Well, that's the thing.
I'll roll it down the
Seemingly,
center fucking thing.
seemingly as an aspect of it being a part of a creature from the elemental plane of air, it's not quite as heavy as what you might think. It's like,
Yeah, it's ungainly. Like, how would you carry that?
oh,
We,
as I just said, he'd roll it down the hill, but he'd roll it down the hallway, just kind of pushing it along.
All right.
We can
Stranger
also
things have traversed these halls.
after storing it, bottle up the liquid in there
Yeah.
in like a spritzer and use it to spritz people with the effects.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and turn
You're very
the remains of the blood into a giant medicine ball.
I was thinking fill up like the squirt bottles that you use for plants and things, like the misters.
And then
Yeah, fill up
the
some of those.
remnants of it. I don't know. I might find a large cavity wall to stuff it into behind a lecture theatre.
You could turn it into a giant sleeping bag.
I was thinking, yeah, whatever.
After all, the material is evidently stretchy enough that it could very well go to at least 5 feet in any given dimension.
You could make a lovely pair of necro pants, necro leggings.
Kind of the wrong shape for that, I think.
Won't he
Yeah,
look
you
a bit like
you
MC
cut and
Hammer if
stitch
he
them.
did that?
I mean, actually, yeah. If it's really
You
stretchy
could-
material, I could make like essentially lycra leggings or leather trousers out of it.
Yeah. I mean, you absolutely could do that if you were to take it to somebody skilled in leatherwork, which I believe you're already intending to go and visit.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, if they're right on the edge of town and we're going to be in the university for a while, I might be better off sending the hide off to be tanned rather than us going on a whole thing to find a tannery.
Well, you absolutely can get in contact with university staff and have a courier take your belongings to a given area. I would say to get something from the university district over to the outskirts of town would run you 2 gold pieces for all of the leather and hide and things of that nature. You suspect you may be able to get better prices as well, but the people who operate out of the central university district get extra prices levied on them because they're all a bit of rich cunts in the middle of the town.
We should probably go visit and actually talk to them to explain what we want and get some decent prices from them.
I think we could tap some liquid off this giant gland bladder thing, and then go and find an alchemist that's not affiliated with the university.
Well, here's a suggestion from the DM. Why not temporarily store it in the portable parlor?
Because
After
it'll
all-
stink the place out.
Well, yes, but at least then you don't have to go carting it through the middle of town. You know, after all, what if a particularly stab-happy kid saw a giant balloon?
It's only a 5 foot by 10 foot space. How are we going to squeeze a 3 foot by 3 foot ball through a 3 foot high, 1.5 foot wide door?
Is that a trick question?
I mean, I
Like,
kind of
I did-
looking forward to Trig basically being Katamari, rolling it through town.
Yeah, in fact, you know what? I'm going to try. I'm going to try standing on it and do the whole, where the thing where they walk backwards and it rolls forwards, kind of thing.
All right, give me athletics check.
Athletics. That's acrobatics, surely.
Yeah, acrobatics. I meant to say acrobatics.
Have inspiration.
I'm gonna need it. It just fell on my ass.
No, I will tell you what a natural one gets you.
Mm-hmm.
You all see as Bobby positions this thing and then takes a step back and does a running jump in order to land atop this great ball. In doing so, you see as the ball greatly deforms under his weight and then springs back again, sending Bobby careening through the air in a feat that would look very impressive were it intentional.
May I attempt to tap him on the shoulder as he flies back to cast a feather fall?
I'm gonna say no. You
Well, I
don't-
tried.
Yeah, you don't have enough reach for that, I'm afraid. I mean, I'm assuming that he would have told everybody to stand back before doing this.
Oh yeah.
You know
Oh,
what?
well.
I will say, Card Guy, if you want, you can roll an athletics check to try and save him, but the DC will be high.
Oh, man. 19.
You're past the DC. It was 18.
So I guess I kind of like run in, just get underneath where he is and try and just leap up and just tap him on the shoulder as he flies past and cast Featherfall on him.
You can if you want to, but I would also suggest that with a with that high of an athletics check, you could very well just literally just catch him. He's a size category lower than you. He's not particularly heavy.
Yeah, no, I'm going to go with the featherfall. I'm going to give him a chance to try and save face by landing acrobatically.
All right, sure. So you have suddenly found yourself falling for much longer than what you were expecting, Bobby. You have time to give a measured response to gravity.
I will give the measured response to gravity of landing in a handstand and then cartwheeling back up to my feet.
Very good. Roll a performance check to see how convincing you are in this. Well, with a 19, you do indeed manage to pull off what was initially a acrobatic stunt gone wrong, but then rapidly turn it into an even more impressive acrobatics stunt. And the woman manning the woman manning the terminal for the artificial gate generator gives you a standing ovation.
I would like to use minor illusion to have the sound of golf claps in the background.
Sure, you could do that. It's not particularly convincing, but
Doesn't have to
there
be.
is there's a small round of applause.
I
No,
give a
specifically
small
golf
bow.
claps.
Yep. Party of bards, people. Absolutely ridiculous.
Did we actually settle on what we're doing with all the whale blubber?
We're going to
we
sell
haven't
it.
I don't believe you did.
You want to sell whale blubber to people that make cosmetics.
Okay,
Okay.
cool.
Like,
So
I said, we should probably go to see an alchemist.
I've still only gotten the
Did we already
68
know an
gold, right?
alchemist, actually? Remember we went to go see one to sell off the quills.
Exactly.
We could go to him and see if he offers us a good deal.
Well, I will say that you can visit an alchemist and you can hand over the copious quantities of whale blubber to them. Precisely how much do you have? I know that Cardgar ended up with 6.
Yep.
6 pounds of it. What did you end up with, Essig?
I ended up with 14 pounds of whale flesh.
Right, and how much of that was blubber, and how much of it was skin, and how much of it was muscle?
You never specified.
Right, I did say at the time you can decide how much of that makes up each of the 3 different materials.
Oh,
So I suppose
okay.
you can decide now.
Anyone have any recommendations?
Well, we're going to go sell the blubber. I don't know if we're planning to sell meat.
I will say that trying to sell the blubber onto an alchemist, the alchemist offers you 10 gold a pound, far more than what you were initially expecting.
Sweet.
So if you go 14, that's 140 gold.
Sure, why not?
And I've got 6, so that's 200 gold total. Which between 5 people is how much again? About 40? Yeah, it's 40.
So the whale blubber is worth the same amount as the that gland. This is
The bladder.
No
Well,
bladder.
the total amount is actually worth more than your bladder
Yeah,
by
that's,
50 gold.
yeah. I think we're being shortchanged on the bladder by quite a lot.
Wow, perhaps
bear
the
in
people we
mind
spoke to didn't know how much it was worth.
Yeah, because
Do bear in mind, the bladder is a bladder. It stores the material. It doesn't produce it.
yes, but it's got the material in it.
Yes, it does.
So
It's like saying to us that the that potion bottle is worth a gold piece, so that's all we can give you for it, and we're arguing, but it's full of potion.
Right. So Ginger, we still have a vial. We still have a vial full of this whale charming fluid. I hand it. I show it up to the alchemist. Say, how much would this go for?
He takes a look at it and says, I don't know what this is. It doesn't what is it?
So I try to describe it, but I imagine Trig, you'll probably do a better job than me.
Certainly,
it's-
I can give it a go. It is it is the captured gland from a sky whale that excretes a gas that charms its victims into a docile state before it eats them. It exudes this cloud. We happen to have killed one of these sky whales, and we have the gland, and that is a sample of the fluid of this. It is essentially a very potent charm. Very potent charm, as I'm sure some of my colleagues can attest, because they were caught by that charm, and very nearly meant that they became whale food.
His brow furrows at this description as he responds with, "Sounds like a date rape jug."
I mean, it could be
You're
used
the
like that.
alchemist.
It could also
A
be used
vial-
to pacify someone who's very aggressive.
Yeah.
Okay, so a vial of this size, how big of a dose is this? How many people is this able to affect?
Do we actually
Well, you
know?
only need a lungful.
Don't actually know at this point in time. But you needs a as you say, to smell it and get caught by the effects. You assume it could that in an enclosed area. It could probably do quite a number on a number of people.
If you like, we could
Well,
try cracking it open and see how many people go docile.
no, not in here. Okay, if you want to, if this were to be, say, enough to incapacitate a room of no more than 5 people, I would say that's worth about 80 gold.
Ginger, could I roll insight to see if I think that one vial would be enough to do 5 people?
That wouldn't be insight. That would be something regarding the properties of this particular item.
That's
How about
Insight is
medicine?
more... Medicine would work. Insight is more so for the use of identifying whether or not a person is lying or figuring out the true motive behind somebody's words.
All right, well, I've
What's
got 5 in
what?
medicine, so
Let's have a look. I've got 1 in medicine. I'll give you advantage. I'll assist.
okay. 23.
If you had to guess, this vial, if you were to crack this in a room, say 10 foot by 10 foot, all the people in that room absolutely would be subjected to the effects of the cloud. But a vial of this size, it's you'd say it's about on par with what this of what this alchemist is describing to you.
So one vial
Okay.
of this is worth 80 gold, and we've got a football-sized 3-foot diameter, or was it radius?
Yeah.
No, diameter, I think.
It was 3-foot diameter.
All right. How many vials fits into a 3-foot diameter football? I mean, many.
It depends. If what so through your Song of Creation, you've generated a closed glass ampule with a liquid inside of it.
Yes.
If the act of cracking open this if the liquid inside of this vial, this ampule, is under pressure, and in the act of cracking it, we would suddenly expand out into a gas,
Mm-hmm.
then there's probably about as much inside of this ampule as what there is inside of the great big bladder. But if the bladder itself is containing pressurized liquid, or it doesn't, or it's more of a it vaporizes via aerosol action, then it could be the case that the bladder contains tens, if not hundreds, of doses.
Well,
Okay.
you have described it as containing a liquid,
Mhm.
so I would put that into the hundreds, if not thousands.
Okay, so let's ask this guy. Do you happen to have a large syringe or something that we can to extract fluid from this? And I demonstrate the thing that I'm actually currently sitting on is not in fact a giant testicle-looking beanbag, but in fact a gland that produces this stuff. And I go, well, if we could sort of draw some out of this and put it into some
Roll me a
ampules for you.
deception check.
A deception? Why? I'm not deceiving him.
You said it's a gland that produces it. It's
Okay.
not a gland, it's a bladder.
Okay, I
That was a misspeak,
misspoke.
surely.
Yes, it
Okay,
is a
so that
bladder
was a
container.
misspeak on your part then.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Well, as you say this, he a very unexpected response happens. A gleam in his eye appears as he promptly looks at you and says, "As a matter of fact, I do. I'll be right back." About a minute later, he comes back into the main area of this little shop that you're all stood inside and is holding what looks like a comically oversized glass and metal syringe with a needle nose point, which is about a centimeter wide, with a fairly thick, uh, needle. It's almost insulting to call it a needle. It's you could put your pinky finger inside the end of it.
Okay.
It's you have no idea what on earth this thing could possibly exist for. But it
That's
looks
not
as
just
though
going to pop this thing, is that?
uh, you don't know. It doesn't seem as though the bladder has much pressure on the inside of it. It's not like a balloon. So, as this man is brandishing this comically oversized needle syringe, he looks at you and says, "Well, shall I?"
No. A tiny little syringe like that. Let me have a go with it. And I hold out both hands to take on board what is going to be even bigger and even more comically oversized in the hands of a 3-foot halfling.
Indeed. In fact, it is. As you rest it, handle size down, tip pointing upwards, it comes up to your chin.
Right, someone hold this giant bollock steady whilst I stab this in. Use it somewhat like a lance to shove into it and start to pull some of the fluid out of the thing.
The alchemist steps up behind you and says, "Look, I get that you're enthusiastic, but it might be better if I pointed it. You can pull the plunger, though."
Cool.
I would like to be ready with a mending spell if this leaves a permanent hole in this thing, so it doesn't just all
Righto.
leak out.
As you all work together, stabilizing the great big testicle, let's be honest, that's what it looks like, and a enormous syringe plunges in. All of the male members of the party wince as the needle goes in and the purplish looking fluid begins to be extracted from the material. As the needle on the end of the syringe is inserted, it does take a bit of twisting to kind of core it into the flesh, but eventually you are able to extract both a fairly large amount of material from it, as well as well, you do leave a hole in the bladder, and a small amount of vapor is now coming out of it. I would say the person closest to the bladder, that being the person casting mending, roll me a Constitution saving throw.
How's that?
Oh wait, no, that was the wrong check. Wisdom saving throw. So what's your bonus for wisdom?
Nice.
It is 2.
All right,
21.
well, you pass regardless. So this is good. You were going to say something, Kiki.
Oh, it's okay. I hadn't seen what he'd rolled because I've got different tabs open for character sheets. I was going to offer inspiration.
Well, thankfully, there's no need. Cardguard does get a face full of the stuff as he's sat there for the mending spell duration, but is able to stave off the effects of being, shall we say, influenced by it. And eventually, a large quantity of the material is extracted, what the alchemist estimates to be around 400 gold's worth. And you lot are astonished at how much the university evidently tried to shortchange you.
Yeah.
That was just 1 vial's worth is 400 gold. Is that what we're saying?
One syringe worth.
1 syringe worth, sorry.
You suspect that there's probably not that much left inside the ball. But, yeah, this one syringe, which bear in mind is a comically large syringe, but you would guess probably has an internal capacity of around a gallon.
Damn. That sounds good. 400 by 5 is what again?
80.
Yeah. Well, everyone add 80 gold to their sheet, I guess. Assume. I mean, Tree, this is your bollock. I
Yeah,
mean,
no, well, no. Again, we all took the risk of trying to catch this thing or kill this thing. Just because I chopped out one bit doesn't make it any more or less the parties. 80 gold. Okay.
Righto. So, you've managed to extract a decent amount of wealth from this thing, and you are left with pockets filled with gold and a now much less pressurized and far more wrinkly giant bollock. It's now about 2 feet across and has the approximate texture of a punctured football.
I don't know if you want to make jeans out of this thing, Bobby. They'll be a bit skinny.
it'll be
Yeah.
elastic. It'll be good when he grows.
I don't know. It seems, yeah, it is quite stretchy though. Look, I'll give it a good stretch. It could be. I don't know if it's. I don't know. I hold it up to the alchemist and go, "Do you want anything for this?"
He almost gives a look of disgust as he takes a closer look at it and says, "No, I'm good, thanks. Besides, I'll be honest, buying all this stuff off you's kind of put me at a bit of a loss of cash here.
Fair enough.
I'm hoping to make some decent money off of all this, though," he says,
Yeah.
tapping on the glass of his comically oversized syringe.
Can I? Oh, if you decant that syringe off, can I borrow it for a second when it's empty? I want to try and inflate this thing.
Sure, he says with an obvious.
While he goes
look of
away, I'm going to use
suspicion.
my last song of creation to give Trig some bellows.
Oh, bellows will do. Yeah, lovely.
Bellows with a needle point, I presume.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
just
whatever works best in that
groovy,
regard.
groovy. Yeah.
Give it a go.
Yeah, you are absolutely able to. Reinflate this thing. It goes up to a maximum size of 5 feet wide.
Right, we can't get it out of the shop now.
Oh, presumably, based on when you tried to sit on it earlier, it's compressible.
Yeah, but it
It
depends
is,
on the
but now that
pressure
it's
that's in
under
it.
Well, there
now
is
that
that.
it's under now that it's under much higher pressure, it's much less compressible.
Does it take on the properties of a balloon in that, it doesn't float because it's air, but it's like not exactly bound to the ground?
Yes, it is absolutely lightweight for its size, and you get the distinct impression as well that there is at least some small amount of liquid still retained inside of it. You get the
Right.
impression that as fun as this thing is to bounce around on, that if it were to burst in an enclosed environment, that could be potentially very interesting.
Excellent. Where's a public space near here?
There's a public space on literally the other side of the doorway in which you find yourself. By the way, getting it out of the alchemist shop is a problem that I am going to have to ask you to try and figure out a solution to before you, unless you just want to leave it here.
I mean, all right. Here's a question: If we cut the door frame wide enough to let out, can I mending the door frame back afterwards?
I'm going to say no, not because of mending not working. It absolutely would, but the door frame's made of stone. It would be less.
I know the spell
impossible
shatter.
and more of.
I actually don't have any spell. I don't have any shatters left because I've used all my
I'm
songs
going
of
to
creation.
explode the door front off the shop and then rebuild it with the pebbles.
Piece by piece. Like a puzzle that takes 10 minutes to
No.
reattach every piece.
We could turn it into a performance.
Jesus Christ.
It's right. Okay, there is a sensible. I don't know if I want to do it. Sensible option, which is to, whilst with the bellows still in it, bellows usually has a valve in it. If you push that valve open, the pressure will equalize, which will mean that everyone will be gassed by a small amount of whatever's in the ball.
I can just go outside first.
So yeah, it would be a good idea that everyone goes outside first and
By the way, Ginge, can I retroactively on this jaunt into town suggest that I have brought my dog as a riding companion?
Oh, I assumed that you had.
dogs are outside.
Fantastic.
Oh yeah, can I retroactively say before we departed, I checked on the bear to make sure it's doing all right in the kennels. Also feed it a bit.
When you checked on the bear, it looked a bit sad. Not gonna lie.
I feed it a bit of the well meat, the leftover well meat.
It actually turns its nose up at that.
Oh, well, I'll give it some cured meat instead then.
Congratulations, as you've bought a bear and promptly just caged it.
Hey, look, as I said to Ginger, I'm not going to mention it every time, but Kargar is slowly training it.
Yes, Cardgar is slowly training it when he's present,
Yes,
which he hasn't been for a little while.
yes.
But yes, the bear looks bored. Yeah, bored. Let's go with that. Unhappy. Hungry.
I'll feed it some cured meats and you use a bit of the animal friendship spell to further, train it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, pardon me. Yeah, it does. It does liven up slightly. In response to you giving it a little bit of additional food as a peacemaking measure. But yes, largely speaking, though, the bear looks like it's not in a particularly happy place. Although I will say that in the short time that you've gotten to know this creature, you have built up enough of a bond with it to understand that this is an animal that is almost exclusively motivated by food. And you suspect that it probably hasn't been fed in the several hours that you've been gone.
I mean, all right, Conco would probably go up to the people looking after it and have a bit of a rant, but given that this is in the past and I don't want to hold things up, I'm happy for us to just say that happened and got resolved in some equitable manner.
All right, then. In that case, I will explain to you what happens in brief. You go up to them and you rant them for not feeding. They explain to you that he's only been in the kennel for 3 or 4 hours and that they get fed in the afternoon and the mornings, and that meal time simply didn't come about yet, and that they also point at the bear's considerable girth, and one of them says, it looks like it could do with a diet anyway.
Which will elicit a Cardgar grumble.
I figured as much.
He'll be muttering and fuming to himself about that, but he will accept the logic of it for now.
Yes, this
Anyway,
is. I cannot stress this enough to you, as
Yeah.
this is a bear who has one thing in life that it has ever found any kind of enjoyment from, and that is eating, which it has done to excess and gets grumpy when that isn't available to it.
yeah, you have to tell Cardgar that.
You do
Yeah.
appear to have bought a bear and then proceeded to just neglect it.
Well, he doesn't know how to look after animals. He's doing the best he thinks is for doing this.
So far, what Cardgar has done after buying this bear is march it across the countryside for however long until it
A
gets
couple
to
days, in
the
which case,
river.
he was engaging with it. He's feeding it.
Yep, feeding
Yeah.
it plenty to keep it docile, and otherwise walking at a reduced pace in order to ensure that it doesn't get too tired out. After all, the last thing you
He
want
was
to do
also
is give
riding
this
on it.
poor bear a heart attack. And upon arriving at the menagerie, it was gently coaxed into a cage, which it really didn't seem to put up much of a fight against. And then it proceeded to sit in that cage for a while, getting bored and hungry, and then was given copious amounts of whale fat. And, well, it turned its nose up at that, but then you gave it some nice cured meats, which it's happily devoured. By the way,
I'm
after
sure
you gave it
we
that
put the
meat,
bear in Cardgar's room at one point.
the bear was in Cardgar's room for a short amount of time, but it didn't take long for it to be put in a kennel because it kind of freaked out at the sight of an interdimensional portal being artificially created inside of the same room it was in.
Oh yeah. Anyway, back to whale ball shenanigans.
Indeed. So, everybody evacuates the room, and then the balls are drained. The ball is drained.
We're not draining the ball completely.
Okay. Just enough to shrink it down a little.
Just shrink it down and let it be a bit sort of more malleable, less inflated, so we can squeeze it through a doorway.
So just to confirm, Ginge, this ball is where the liquid's stored.
Indeed it is.
Uh-huh.
The ball is where the liquid is stored, and when the liquid is drained, it shrinks. But under normal circumstances, it would gradually grow in size over time as it is refilled. But that is not possible due to the gland that would produce said material no longer being connected to it.
So I've asked for some privacy and got everybody out of the room whilst I drain my balls a little. I do hope this alchemist has got some Kleenex, is all I'm saying. Anyway,
yeah, the alchemist seemingly put some kind of apparatus on his face, like something vaguely resembling a helmet, but seemingly airtight. Something that people in the real world would recognize as a kind of ad hoc gas mask, but yes, obviously the players have never actually encountered anything along those lines.
no, but I am going to take a deep breath before I do it, and then just
Right, so
release a bit of the gas, so to speak, whilst holding my breath.
I would say roll me a Constitution saving throw.
Constitution?
This isn't to resist the effect of the gas. This is just to simply hold your breath as you're doing all this.
Ah, okay.
If you fail the con save, then I'll ask for a whiz. So, about that wisdom saving throw.
Uh-huh.
So, a couple of minutes pass by from the perspective of the rest of the party standing outside, and just as you're about to get to the point where you're becoming a little bit concerned, a masked up alchemist steps out into the out towards you all and says through his mask, "So there's a problem."
I'm going to peek inside the shop and see what I see.
You see a kind of, you know what, Trig, you're already familiar with what this effect is. What is Bobby doing? Bear in mind, he currently considers all whales to be very friendly and is very opposed to the idea of budging even an inch away from his current position.
I'm just basically sat holding the holding my giant sack of fluid, essentially. Rather happy about it.
It's friend juice, right?
Yeah, I'm basically friends with the giant bladder at this point in time.
So you all walk in to see a big, dopey-looking grin on his face as he's just hugging the giant testicle.
Yep.
I walk back out.
You
I'm just going to go. Now that you've changed the rules on how this works, I'm going to go over there and slap him out of it.
All right. Go ahead and give me a wisdom saving throw, Cedric.
Does he not take any damage from this?
Oh well, we already know what the damage is. It's 5.
Yeah, Trig, take 5 damage.
There's no dice to roll here, and that is not sufficiently high to resist the wisdom saving throw. So he stays cracked out.
Trig, just to check, what's your total hit points?
My total hit points is 36. It's now 31.
I'm gonna slap him again.
Might I recommend
All
before you
right.
slap him, giving him a bardic inspiration?
Yeah, I'll
Where's the
slap
fun
him with
in
a bardic
that?
inspiration. Go on then.
All right. Another wisdom saving throw.
I mean, it would be funny if I just slapped him to death and he kept failing his wisdom, but I am
That's what I
intending to
want
try and
see
get him
happen
out.
here.
Roll 2d8 to pick the highest.
So 21 total.
With the inspiring slap, he is finally roused back to a state of proper mental fortitude once again, and you are suddenly aware of the fact that for at least a short time you found this giant ball very, very, I wouldn't say alluring, but the act of hugging it filled you with a sense of a sense of truthful, longing happiness that you have never before experienced.
Okay, excellent. This is what we were looking for.
Never.
Is this actually what you were looking for?
We now have a decent field test. Okay, let's squeeze the ball out of the door and reinflate it again.
Alrighty, so after gassing yourself and ejecting some of the fluid inside of it into your own face, you've managed to squeeze it through the doorway and reinflate it, which I presume is a process that took around 20 minutes, given the need to cast Mending on it twice. I suppose you don't have to cast Mending on it once, because
Yeah.
you're not going to remend it after deflating it again, are you?
No.
Just hold the pierced part to the top as you guide it through the doorway.
Just out of curiosity, like, do we need to do something to preserve this thing? Because it's organic.
We're not going to.
Indeed, it is.
Oh, you're not going to keep this long term?
No. I'm going to ask the apothecary where the nearest park is. You know, a place where children play, people walk their dogs, etc.
He looks at you and says, I feel as though I'm legally obliged to ask why you want to know.
Well, I thought I'd draw up some custom for you.
And how about it? And how exactly do you intend to do that? He says, taking off the mask.
Well, I was thinking of rolling this thing down here and popping it and rolling it through the park.
You intend to expose the people who live in this town to an unknown aphrodisiac-like chemical in my
Yes, he
name.
does.
Yeah, it would be funny. Not going to
I'm
do
not
anybody
telling you
any
where the
harm.
nearest. I'm not telling you where the nearest park is, and I advise you leave before I call authorities. He
It's all right.
says,
They'll end up hugging a giant
obviously
testicle if they try anything.
Surely this deserves a persuasion roll.
Bear in mind that the man looks as though he's trying to stifle a laugh. He could definitely see the funny side of what you're getting, of what plan you're proposing here.
The thing is, do this right. It will bring business to the shop, you know?
Yeah. The amount of people that would go, that thing that happened the other day, I hear you can get that from your shop. Is that right? How much, sir? Oh, 100 gold pieces per vial. I've only got 40 vials left.
Okay, go ahead and roll me your persuasion.
I would like to assist to give advantage on this.
My persuasion check
Yeah.
is thus.
I'll give inspiration.
Okay, that's 26 so far.
27.
It's ever important not to fail. Make sure to have me try to convince people of stuff.
That's true as well.
I mean, 27's pretty persuasive. But yes.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying before trying.
Yeah.
He looks at you and he says, look, if you go rolling that thing down through the streets, it doesn't matter how good an idea people think it is, the guards are still going to come looking to me when they find out that a bunch of kids got given drugs. So
Yeah, but, this would be great.
I'm
because
gonna
the guards will see how they can use this to apprehend criminals.
I'm not going to tell
I'm
anybody
going to
you're
see-
doing it. You're going to tell the right people that come into your shop that what they experienced, you might be able to provide them with. The right
I
price.
have a legitimate business here.
Yeah.
What do you make me for? Some back alley alchemist that goes selling on who God knows what to God knows who?
Yeah.
More the fact that that's exactly what I am.
So we see eye to eye then.
I was starting to think, should we check for authorities who might be listening for why he's saying that? It's like, is this a hint to look over our shoulder?
Well, roll me a perception check. Cardgar, you take a quick look around to see if there's anybody who could potentially be listening in on this conversation. And from what you're able to make out, it appears as though there are a few people looking in your direction as they walk past, but you notice that it appears as though their gaze seems to be mostly drawn towards, well, the 5-foot wide testicle in the street.
So we're good then. It's not like
You
we're
hope.
trying to do anything illegal.
He sighs. He puts his hand onto his head, and he says, "Look, park's that way, take 2 rights. Just don't associate it with me. If anybody asks, tell them that you're just spreading good times."
Exactly. Or something
Barbara
from the
smiles and
university or
nods at him
something.
and says, this will work out well for you, I'm sure.
I've got some illicit goods to go and I've got some potentially soon to be illicit goods to try and package now. Goodbye. He turns
Have fun.
around and heads back into his shop.
So guys, I've got, when I picked up my my parlor, I picked up a wand of rope trick. Now I reckon we can hide up there in a little extra plane of space, look down out of the window, and watch all of this going off without anyone seeing it.
That seems like an excellent idea.
Won't
We'll have
see
a
us climbing
perfect-
into it.
I have a
We'll
suggestion.
have a perfect aerial vantage point.
I have a suggestion that we take a 10-minute break, go get drinks and things of that nature, and then when we reconvene, we can discuss precisely what you guys decide to do with this giant ball of aphrodisiac gas.
No.
Sounds good. Anyone has any
Right,
better ideas, by all means chip in.
I shall be back in a few minutes.
So how are we going to incorporate it into our next concert?
Well, I've already written a song of the whale battle.
No. I mean the whale ball.
The whale ball drugging event. It's a good
I mean,
question.
I can literally summon a 5-foot cube of this stuff.
You're
and
telling
demand.
me in a student town with a giant uni that students would not pay to come get high at a concert where the concert itself is the thing that makes you high?
Exactly.
Pretty much what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, and if we wear like the whaleskin clothing, does or a piece of whale skin at the same time, are they gonna be as admiring to us as they would be to the whales?
That's a good question. That
Like
is
if
definitely
we all wear a whaleskin belt,
That's a very good question.
I think the other question is, can we convince the university to let us put on a concert in the central square? On uni grounds.
Well, and just gas them as they on
No,
entry.
look, that professor who overheard us didn't seem averse to this.
Uh-huh.
And we it's not like we're just experimenting on the student body. We're giving them a performance.
Indeed.
They will be paying us to take part in the experiment.
Mm-hmm.
The fact we don't tell them it's an experiment, I mean, that's details.
And you can now create the stuff at will. So
Yeah, 4 times a day.
yeah, but you can create like huge amounts of it if you just create
yeah.
that as a cube of liquid
And
in the
liquid,
room.
and then it aerosols itself.
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Imagine if we'd known about this stuff when we went to that big high class party.
Oh, right, you know. Exactly.
You could have got them to all be friends with you, Trig, and you could just ask them where all the expensive stuff was, and they would have just told you.
Mm-hmm. I know.
There was a magical place. There could have been someone who overcame that.
Oh yeah, anyone with a good wisdom save seems to have a good chance at that. Or was it a con save? Either way, one of those.
It's a wisdom save, but yeah. Oh, speaking of, I've got to quickly check. I did a Suno thing of the the songs, and it's done one that's 4 minutes and one that's 2.5 minutes, or 3 minutes actually. 2.5, and of course that is 2 minutes 50 seconds, not 2.5.
Does Suno do the lyrics as well? Do you have to use another AI to do the
I
lyrics?
use ChatGPT to do the lyrics.
So one of those two has a very extended guitar solo in the middle.
Yeah, probably. Thing is, GPT, I've done a lot of stuff back and forth with GPT over this course of this campaign. So now all I have to do is go, Bard campaign, we've done this now. Can you write a song? It knows who we are, it knows our background, and adds all the appropriate details really, really quickly.
I thought GPT can only hold context for so long.
No, it's got memory now.
Yeah. Well, that's not terrifying.
Don't give it information that you don't want it to have. I mean, of course it's terrifying. It's an AI. It's going to fucking doom humanity.
Well, the thing is, AI is really good at intuiting patterns that we wouldn't normally see from data provided.
Yeah.
So it's probably already worked out, what time you feed your cats from what you fed it about the D&D campaign.
Dude, I've given it my
Actually, that's a good reminder. I should probably do that since I might have to leave soon.
Yeah, I've given it my CV to help improve my CV. It knows a fuckload about me. And a lot of people have done similar. It is what it is. So, we have two songs. Das ist wann. And that is...
Oh my god, Trig.
Yes?
I've just been recommended a active live stream called Earth, Wind and Shire.
Uh-huh. Awesome. Now tell me, which of these do you think is the better?
Well, let's give them a listen.
Through the stormy skies we soared so high, on the plane of air where legends die. The sky whale loomed, a beast so vast, a predator born of the tempest blast. With its so sharp and spells that gleamed, we mocked and blasted lightning screams. But down its throat 3 heroes fell, fighting within the valley of hell. Oh, sing of the bards who defied the gale, who faced the might of the dreaded whale. Through storm and shadow our courage prevailed, and the sky itself sang of our tale.
I really don't like AI music. But between the two of them, the first one's better.
Yeah, it's a bit more chilled out, isn't it?
Like hail, we struck with fire, we struck with jest. Defying death, we gave our
second
best.
one
Inside its maw,
seems to be
our
trying
comrades
too hard, I
fought.
suppose.
Amid the guts where bells are wrought, we made it wretch, we made it real, and struck the blue with vengeance steal. Oh, sing of the bard to defy the gale, who face the might of the dreaded whale. Through storm and shadow our courage prevailed, and the sky itself sang of our tale. Its light itself sang of our tale. From its corpse we claimed our prize, the teeth, the hide, the storm-born eyes, the trophy earned by wit and might, a memory forged in the heat of fight. Now we toast to the battle, the risks we braved, to the songs we'll sing of the lives we saved. For we are the bards who mocked the storm and carved a tale where heroes are born. Oh, sing of the bards who defied the gale, who faced the might of the dreaded whale. Through storm and shadow our courage prevailed, and the sky itself sang of our tale. Raise your voice, let the melody fly, a hymn to the whale and the stars in the sky. For
as soon as everybody is ready to get
and
going,
legends are
Okay.
true,
I
when
have
the
a
bards of the
small bar
storm
of
sing
chocolate in front
for
of me that I'm
you.
enjoying, and I'm ready to continue on.
Through the storm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. AI music is not the best, and certainly it's not gonna. You're not gonna get me going. Oh no, I don't want to listen to that real music. Give me some AI instead. It's still pretty impressive, and it's still quite fun to be able to go, oh, we did this, this, and this. Make a folk song about it, and 5 minutes later, have a folk song about the thing that you did in your game.
Well, also, to be fair, I don't know what is like the maybe the genres you're picking or something. I've listened to other Suno stuff, and it can do a lot more believable voices.
Yeah, I mean, the voice, I don't know. Because what I'm going for is folk rock most of the
Yeah.
time.
But it's like it's got that tinny auto tune to hell sort of quality
Yeah,
to it.
I'm
that gets
looking
worse
I'm
as
looking
the song
into
goes
other
on.
options on that type of thing. Because
But,
there are
you
some
know,
very
I've
good ones out there. There are some
I've
very,
listened
very
to
good.
some stuff on Suno where it's like, if I didn't know it was from Suno and it wasn't the fact that when it repeats lines that are identical completely,
Mhm.
you wouldn't notice. It actually sounds organic voice.
Oh yeah, and there are some that's way better than Suno as well. Like I said, I'm looking into some stuff because I did a song. I put together a song essentially with GPT called "You're Fired" that I had in mind to do a Donald Trump voice singing in kind of slow, almost William Shatner spoken word type song slash boomer rock rap rather, which is quite funny. So I'm looking at other things there which you have to feed samples into before it can do the voice. But Suno is just cheap and easy. Suno I can just throw a set of lyrics into and it will spam something out. Plus, it's a free Suno account. It's not like I've got the expensive version of Suno either. I say expensive, the paid for.
Yeah.
See, I figured out a way to describe this a few days ago. To me, AI generated content, be it artwork, music, or especially video animations, whenever I perceive these kinds of content, I experience a level of revulsion that I don't really understand other than being like, it's analogous to the uncanny valley but far more intense.
Okay. Well, I'll say to that, there's a website, I forget what it's called at the moment, I can look up later, where it's like, it shows you images and says, is this AI generated or not? And you play that and see how, like, because if you don't know whether it's AI generated, do you still have the same response? And I bet you that you'll be tripped out.
I suspect I wouldn't. I suspect I wouldn't be.
I mean,
I suspect I would either suddenly distrust far more things in general, or I simply wouldn't be able to tell.
I mean,
I
AI
mean,
art is
distrusting things in general is not a bad way to live your life.
AI art in general
I-
is one thing. What's really troubling is some of the other creative stuff that it can do, which, you know, especially with regard to repetitive tasks, as you just said with the singing, when it does a repeat of something, it repeats it exactly the same way as it did it before, which is fantastic if you want, you know, a car built.
I
Or-
think the person who develops the artist for lead artist for Studio Ghibli put it very well, because he was questioned about AI arts and and AI in general, and they wanted to train it on his work, and were asking if he was excited about being involved in the project, and he expressed that he was saddened by it because the fact that humanity is having to try to create machines to perform human expression shows that humanity has lost faith in itself to express those things in a way that they deem satisfactory.
It's almost like saying humanity has lost faith in its own soul, which, given the West, for better or for worse, has become a lot less religious. Though there does seem to be a bit of a rolling back in the near term. Maybe that's just a natural conclusion. You know, you take religion out of people, you can't really take people out of religion, though.
The things with religion is you won't take religion out of people. Religion changes. Religion has changed a number of times throughout the millennia. At the present moment, for the last, let's call it 1,000 years, the West has really strongly adopted Christianity. And the 1,000 years prior to that, it was having a good old battle between Christianity or monotheism and paganism. That battle is still going off in India, for example, and certain other places. Yeah. Monotheism may be coming to a death, but you'll end up with other things. The trust the science lot, for a start, have managed to create their own little religion fairly automatically by believing in some sciences but not believing in others, and their bad science is of course something that they're very willing to fight and kill people over, and certainly fight and kill animals. I mean, the everything must be, you know, all power must be generated by wind farms is causing absolute devastation in oceans and in the areas where they're on shore, by killing wildlife and so on. But they're blind to it because trust the science. More science is more religion, which is rather ironic, seeing as it was an awful lot of scientists saying that the religion is bad, even though a lot of sciences, certainly in the West, came from funding from the Catholic Church a couple of hundred years ago during the Renaissance period after.
Yeah.
We will
But also the phrase "trust the science."
Yeah,
You talk to any real scientist, they'll say no.
Yeah, I know.
That's a bad phrase.
You will always have your midwits and below, which, bear in mind, you're talking about over 2/3 of the population at that point, will not be able to explain the science in inverted commas, and will have belief in what they have been told by the priests of that particular science in inverted commas. And the ones that are popular, the ones that are charismatic will be the ones that carry that message forward more loudly than the ones that are sitting there going, well, I'm not really sure about this, actually. I've looked at it, and to be honest, I can't really tell whether or not we've got anything conclusive here. No, they're not going to get the belief. The ones that are there basically wearing a flashy freaking vest and being all charisma and moustache, they're the ones that are going to get it. Neil deGrasse Tyson is not a great scientist. He is a charismatic person, however. And as a result, Pluto is no longer a planet. Fuck you, Neil deGrasse Tyson, you complete cunt.
I mean, though, keep in mind, it's not
So there's
actually
not a planet.
scientists generally who are pushing these various issues, like your one about wind farms.
Yeah.
That's being pushed by politicians who say trust the science. That you never see the scientist.
It's been pushed by politicians because politicians fall well and truly within that mid category.
Yeah, and they've got an agenda to push.
Yeah, their own pockets get richer.
Yep. Yes, we should build more wind farms. And by the way, my brother, he happens to own a fiberglass factory.
Yeah.
Oh, and my other brother, he's got lots of stakes in the oil industry. He can make all the lubricant for the turbine.
I've been told to tell you to buy electric cars because BMW have just offered me a directorship in their electric car division.
Yes. Oh God, yeah. But you can't buy Teslas; those are evil.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though BMW use all of the patents that actually aren't patents, because Tesla didn't file for patent. For
All I
their
can
stuff.
say about the electric car game is which brand has travelled the most miles?
With regards to electric cars,
Yeah.
I would imagine it would be I can't remember the name of the company that made all the milk floats for England after the in the 1950s
Nope.
and 60s.
No, remember, one Tesla is in space.
Tesla, there is a Tesla in space, yes.
That
But
is the most travelled car ever made.
Space isn't actually that far away, though.
yeah, yes, I know, but it is moving at quite the rate of knots away from Earth. What is going to be hilarious is when we realise that it's actually in a weird orbit, and it will just come wailing back down and sort of catapult itself into China.
No, it's projected to come back down and burn up in the atmosphere.
Yes,
but that's like decades away or something.
I was going to say, yeah, someone in like a few decades is, or 100 years time or so, is out there going out on their first cruise in their new little camper ship that they've bought for a little planet hopper, and this old Tesla just comes and rockets into their windshield.
just yeets into them. Yeah,
And he gets declared an act of God, and they don't get an insurance payout.
Well, no, it'll be the first in like it'll be like it'll be like the first in like 50 years car accident.
yeah. Kiki might be right though. It might be considered an act of God because, of course, it'll be done by Tesla and therefore Elon Musk. And in a couple of 100 years' time, they might have venerated him at that point.
What the Church of Musk, much like the what was that show where they all worshipped Bill Gates?
Oh, I don't
CNN?
know. I don't know, but that was a rip-off of Brave New World, worshipping Ford. Brave New World has Henry Ford as their religious icon.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, shall we continue the session?
Sure, why not?
Yes. To the park.
To the park.
Indeed. So, your party. You know what? Actually, I've just had an idea. There we go.
Ah, so they've made a park in the shape of the known world.
Hmm.
Very
Hang
artistic.
on.
The gnome world.
Yes, I definitely said that, Trick.
It's what it sounded like.
The world of gnomes.
I'm sorry about that. My
Halflings are
roommate just
considered.
popped in to say hi. So, following the vague directions of take 2 right, you begin taking this overinflated testicle and rolling it through the street, and you get a few kids pointing in your direction and giggling to themselves, as one would expect, and you also get mostly looks of perplexion. I think that's the right word. Looks of people who are perplexed at the
Complexitude
idea
is
of
high.
you. Yes, levels of
they
perplexitude are
bemused?
approaching the end of the scale.
How bemused
There
are
are
they?
there are some who are bemused, but mostly it is just perplexion. It is just confusion because nobody that you roll this giant ball past is quite sure what they're looking at. All they know is that it's huge and that is being pushed along by a halfling.
Should the rest of
Somebody
us
who's literally
get our
small.
instruments out and play like a little marching ditty for Trig?
Could do if you want to. Is that what you do?
I mean, what do you guys reckon?
I mean, do it.
I'll ring the triangle of whatever for that.
The
Triangle of
triangle of
whatever.
victory.
I was originally going to say that, but it really didn't seem appropriate.
Literally the triangle of what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah, that's the most appropriate way of describing
Yeah,
it. Isn't it?
I'll drop some bass chords.
Poignancy by
So-
the triangle.
Yeah, I'm
As-
assuming Kiki, you're gonna join in.
Yeah, I think bagpipes are appropriate for a march.
I
Definitely.
think so.
And Trig, you know your hands may be busy with this ball of yours, but you can still sing.
Yeah, I will be in fact singing the song that I've just composed about the fight with the whale.
Well, as you go, you know what? Give me a selection of performance checks. Obviously, you don't have your usual preparation done, so just roll performance, and we will consider this not to be a concert, but just see how well you do.
Can we give each
I-
other
I'm gonna-
inspiration?
Well, I'm going to hold a hat
Give
out
us-
to collect money if anyone wants to donate to our beautiful traveling concert.
I
I'd
am
like
very
to
I will
try
assume
this
you
minor
used-
illusion to add visuals
I'm
to
gonna
accompany the song.
I'm gonna give bardic
Well, of course.
inspiration to Cardgar on this one.
I'll give mine to
Oh, thank
Bobby.
you. I've used all of my inspirations today.
You have
We still wait. No, have we done a short rest since then?
We've done right. Okay, when we completed the whale fight, we leveled up, and as a result, this was organised that we have in fact had a long rest in the process, or the equivalent, because we've leveled up.
I've
Yes,
used 3 inspirations since then.
Yes, you should all know that, generally speaking, unless you are going from one fight in a session straight into another fight, anytime you level up, consider yourself to also have gotten a free long rest.
Okay, 35 while I'm holding my hat out.
I got an 18 on that.
And
people give me money.
Got advantage.
The 35 on holding your hat out is all very well and good, but the
I'm-
end result of any donations will be as the culmination of all of your performance checks.
I wasn't claiming
I'm
it to be
gonna-
personal. I'm just
Mine
saying
was
that's what I did.
Mine is a dirty 20. With
Yeah,
bardic
I'm gonna
inspiration.
burn a lucky to fix that 14. No, I'm not. That's a 14. It's fine.
Am I able to get anything out of the minor illusions I'm using to add visuals?
I will say that the minor
But yeah.
illusions do add a little bit of additional flair to this roving performance of yours, but
Yeah, sorry.
since this isn't
I am.
since this isn't a true concert, this
Mm.
is just a little something that you've decided to impromptu do as you are walking through the street.
There we go. That's better.
Jesus Christ. Okay, let's add up your values. So Cardgar got a total of
18.
21.
Oh, 21.
Yeah, you got you
Oh,
roll a
we've got
d8 there,
advantage,
I
nice.
assume.
Do we?
Oh,
Well, I rolled a 13
oh,
and got.
that's a perception. Okay. I was taking a look at the top.
I mean,
roll
look,
that
if
you
you want to
sent
take
me.
my
I thought
perception
it was-
roll as my performance roll.
Well, had you not been confused, I wouldn't. I would have done so, but thank you for correcting me. So, starting with Trig. 13 plus 7 equals 20. Then we have Kiki, who used luck to re-roll and got a 30.
31 with inspiration.
That is
Bardic
true.
inspiration.
Then we have Cardgar, who got 18. Essig, who got 35. And lastly, Reeve, who got a total of just a 10, unfortunately.
Can someone give Reaver an inspiration?
Yeah, can I have an inspiration? Just a crumb of inspiration.
Yeah, there you go. My beautiful performance. I incorporate that into one of the notes.
All right, then. Go ahead and that's an additional 2.
Wow.
So between the 5 of you, we take 116. Divided by 5, we arrive at a 23. So
I am
with
way
a
above
total-
average.
Yes,
with
you
an
are.
average 23, and you are making your way down through the middle of the road, you all manage to gather up quite a bit of attention with a small parade of sorts gathering behind you, enjoying the music as this impromptu celebration of the slaying of a sky whale, apparently.
23 is still
You're-
not half bad.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that the 23 that you end up with is the number of people that you end up having as a crowd surrounding you as you finish your little parade inside of the park area, which is well, to call it a park is a bit of an exaggeration. It's in the middle of the city, you see. It's mostly just a little patch of grass that maybe 100 feet by 100 feet. It's got a little water feature in the middle, which is actually kind of impressive given the level of technology that they have available to them. And as a result, 23 individuals are surrounding you as you finish off this little bardic tale of battle glory of this conquering of the great sky whale.
When we stop, my cloak will billow accordingly in a particularly heroic fashion, even though there doesn't appear to be any wind.
There doesn't appear to be any wind yet. I presume it's
yet.
only a matter of time before you decide to poke the giant fucking sphere of.
I mean, it's basically
Yeah.
it is basically a narcotic whoopee cushion. Mm-hmm.
So do you pull out your rapier and give it a new inflation hole?
I think we're going to do just that as the moment Kiki's got her her rope trick ready.
Yeah, I'll cast my rope trick and allow everyone to climb on up.
And I will say, my good followers, friends, my gift to you, and I will draw my rapier and slash down onto the giant ball and scurry back up the rope before anything can escape.
All right. I presume that as Trig does this, the rest of you have already gone into the rope trick hole.
Yes, I will let them escape
Okay,
before we
in
do
that
this.
case, I will say that Bobby is the only one that needs to make a Constitution saving throw to hold his breath.
Getting high on his own supply again.
Pretty much.
Passing the check with flying colours, you take a deep breath, swipe a nice big gash into the ball, which rapidly deflates, releasing this slightly pinkish purple mist that goes billowing out in all directions, covering over the entire crowd. As I now make 23 wisdom saving throws.
Well, that shouldn't take long.
Yeah.
R23D20.
Yeah.
You going to do it
Thankfully,
publicly or privately?
I'm going to roll this as /R23D20. And I'm just going to assume that nobody here has any bonuses to their wisdom saving throws for the sake of simplicity.
No, there will be normies, won't there?
Actually, no, that's not quite fair. I'll say that they all have a +1, only a +1.
Ooh, they're a wise crowd.
Yeah.
Every single
That's actually better
one-
than a
It's the
normal person.
university town, I guess. So they should
Indeed,
have a
it is-
-1.
Every single one of these people,
That's as good as mine, actually.
their DC is 16 for this.
Oof.
Oh, they got 290. They passed.
So let's see. How many 15s or lower are there here?
Actually,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's like 11.
6.
10 of them passed.
jeez,
Hang on.
that was pretty unlucky.
Mad.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Oh, it's 13.
10, 11. 12 of them passed, which means 11 of them fail.
How did 12 of them pass?
I don't know.
If they got a 15 or higher, they pass.
Hey,
Oh, I thought you said 15 or
and
lower a
higher.
moment ago. Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
Anyway,
the
regardless
people-
the point stands of how did that many of them roll that high?
I don't know.
Yeah, that is ridiculous.
What was the check? 15.
16.
They needed
Yeah.
to roll a 15. They had a +1.
Yeah.
Anyway, in theory, 70% of them should have failed.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
70% of them
Ignore-
would have failed,
ignore
and
it.
yet more than 50% of them succeeded.
Yes.
Well, that's unexpected.
I
Well,
put
anyway,
this down to being a
Drake.
student town. They're used to this sort of thing.
Yep.
as you slash open the ball and the quick smoke bomb like effect of mist billows out around you, you're able to quickly scurry up the rope and disappear into the pseudo pocket dimension, and in the process pull the rope up with you and achieve a state of practically invisibility. From this vantage point, you're all able to sit there in this invisible box, looking down, knowing that you are secluded from the view of those around you. As you see a look of confusion come across the face of half of the people there, whilst the other half, the minority, surprisingly, of people, seemingly enter into a daze-like state, with them just kind of clapping along and going yay at the celebration and just going a bit gormless, really. As I say, not exactly a look of panic across the faces of those who pass the wisdom saving throw, but for the most part, there's definitely a look of what the hell's going on with this? What was all this about? One of the older looking folks who has apparently passed his wisdom saving throw takes a look around for a moment and then calls out, "Hey, those guys with the ball, where have they gone?"
Essig starts to
Um,
question if he should leave the band, realizing they drag him down so much in the performances. He starts to feel a superiority complex.
Well, of course, he's an elf. Afflicted
Of
by
course.
these things.
But he's not even a true elf, he's a half elf.
Yes, but what's the other half?
Probably human.
I mean, there aren't many races that have the ability to reproduce with an elf without being an elf.
Maybe there's more than
That's
you
the
think,
unique
but
thing
most
about-
don't want to.
Well, the thing about humans in my setting is that there's just something about them that makes them particularly compatible with most other species. It's weird.
Just
But
that
anyway.
humans are generally horny and will shag anything.
If memory serves, rope trick lasts for 1 hour. How long are you going to be stuck inside of this little semi-dimensional pocket and observe from the outside?
I think it's a good idea to actually wait to see how long it takes for this thing to wear off, if at all.
Yeah, I was going to say as long as it's funny.
So as long as there's people rolling around on the floor, giggling and generally, wanting to be as close as they can to the giant deflated bollock, I'm willing to sort of point and laugh at them. I'm also making note of the time.
Well, it's funny that you mention that. There are a few people who look as though that they're kind of trying to reach out to the giant bollock, but at the same time, well, for example, you see one child kind of reach out for the bollock, look at their feet and just kind of let their arms droop to their side, and as if in a a look of very obvious moral defeat. You hear one woman call out to what you presume to be a friend or perhaps a partner and shout, "Barry, I wanna touch it, but I can't reach."
Wants to touch the ball.
And there's just a general act of confusion and bewilderment. Like there's something that has afflicted all of these people, but not all of them, and seemingly only about half of them. And it takes about 10 minutes of this with different people resorting to giving whoever they happen to be interacting with a slap across the face, which initially doesn't work, and then the next slap leaves a big red handprint but seemingly snaps them out of it early. And the last people to eventually have the effect wear off about 10 minutes later. Most of them, but by this point, have already been slapped out of it, but a few of them gradually come back to their senses over the course of about 10 minutes and eventually start to realize that, wow, that was weird. One person goes over to the giant deflated ball and looks at it and picks it up and puts their head inside of it. And then as they take their head out again, gets this really dopey look across his face and just proceeds to pick up the deflated ball and just almost cradle it like a baby. So yeah, that's roughly how that goes. Just a lot of people begin to worship the ball, then realize,
Yeah, they do.
what the fuck?
Oh,
And then
Wait a
There's
second,
always
isn't that
gonna
it? They had that in the Old Testament.
That was the bull,
Bobby,
not the
you
ball.
Bobby, you should definitely make clothes out of the ball.
Yeah. I'm thinking of trims for the boots and maybe some detailing on trousers and so on. Maybe not actual clothes. Although we will see. There's actually, it's probably quite a lot there. Probably make a nice pair of boots.
There's absolutely enough flesh to make a pair of boots out of. In fact, given that you're a halfling,
Mm-hmm.
you could turn this now deflated ball into what would effectively amount to there's no other way to say this other than a skin suit.
I don't want a skin suit, but rock and roll, tight leather trousers are kind of and maybe a pair of boots might work nicely.
Right. So you collect up the ball, you manage to shake off the person who is still rather attached to it.
Yep.
And you take it to a leather worker and basically request that it be turned into a pair of leather trousers.
Leather trousers and a pair of boots. Necro pants. Bobby's necro pants.
And I'd like a whale skin jacket from my hide as well.
The leather worker, he agrees to do Piper's commission,
Mm-hmm.
but when he sees the material and you ask him to make skin tight leather trousers and boots,
just good leather trap. Yeah.
He looks at you, and this is an older dwarven fellow, a magnificent brown beard with a variety of what looks like maybe waxed spikes going into it on various points. It's very impressive, and he just looks at you and says, "No, not doing that."
Why? Maybe there's some way I can convince you.
He looks at you up and down, and he says, "I don't like you."
Let me explain to him. I'm going to explain to him the how we got this material and what it is, and the epicness of the mission we undertook to get this material, and I'm going to be as persuasive as I can.
He looks at you, and you can see that from the look on his face that he appears to accept that your story is indeed the case and as the truth that it is. And he waits for you to finish, and then he says, "That was a nice story, but no, I'm not doing that." Make an insight check.
Did he have a bad experience as a child?
He you there is no mistake in your mind. This man is convinced that you are gay and this is a fetish thing.
Makes sense.
I am going to explain to him that that is not the case. And even if it was, it shouldn't be a thing of his. I mean, this is not a fetish thing. This is a bardic thing. We're bards. This is for performance, and these would make extremely good trousers. And
You're gonna go down the "I'm not gay, I'm an artist" route.
I'm not gay. I'm an artist. That's exactly it. And then I'm going to put 50 gold coins on the counter.
He looks at the money, and he looks at Piper, who's presumably standing nearby since she's also requested leather work.
Absolutely, in fits of laughter.
And She looks back to you, Bobby. He looks back to you, Bobby,
Mm-hmm.
and he just says, "No, you can take your money elsewhere.
How about
I ain't doing that."
I go and get it done somewhere else and tell everybody that I got it done here?
Make a persuasion check with advantage.
That way they can get this.
You can see the look on his face. This slight widening of the pupil, this look of fear that comes across his face as you do this. And his hand slams down on the stack of 50 gold coin and says, "Be back in a week."
Goodness, Bobby, can you hold it for a week?
Yeah, I'll be fine. It's a pleasure doing business with you, sir. And no one will know.
He doesn't respond verbally, but he does say he makes dwarf noises. Let's just put it that way.
Angry dwarf noises.
Is he related to Cardgar by chance?
So, I presume after all of those happenings, that well, as far as I know, you as a party don't have anything in particular to be doing now. You've communicated with a particularly what is apparently homophobic dwarf. You have commissioned some leather pants, and you've managed to go on.
I'm sorry, I have to stand up in defense of this dwarf. It is not, by any means, homophobic to refuse to indulge in gay erotica.
It's not gay erotica, it's just a pair of trousers. Not asking for like leopard
That's the
skin
same.
with a giant fucking red cod piece on
Sounds the same.
it.
That's like saying someone's homophobic because they don't want to make you a cake with a giant penis on it.
Look, there is no penises on the giant scrotum that I'm having made into trousers.
Well, not yet.
When you think, whoa, I just had a profound insight. Illegal immigrants are homophobic because they don't want to get sent home.
Yeah. Damn. That's it.
God, it's back to code.
I get it now. That's how
That's
we'll
why they
convince them to deport. What?
That's why they throw the gays off the roof.
Everything makes sense now.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, with that piece of godlike revelation from Coatrack, is there anything else that the party wants to do with this session? Plans for the next? Anything along those lines? If not, given that it is nearly 1 a.m, we could very well bring it to an end here.
Sounds good.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Let's do that because I'll tell you what, there is stuff being happening at the moment. Did you know that the InfoWars has been handed back to Alex Jones?
Really?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that earlier.
It's apparently the judge is looking into illicit dealings. It was supposed to be sold off in an open auction. It was done in a closed auction to the Onion, but apparently that was illegal. The judges got flipped out about it. It's been handed back to Alex Jones, and it's all under investigation for dodgy dealings.
Holy shit. I'd heard that it had been handed over to the Onion and that they intended to basically butcher it.
Yep. They've had it taken back off them.
Incredible. Huh.
Yep, if you look in background noise, apparent conspiracy to rig the InfoWars auction now under criminal investigation as InfoWars is restored back to Alex Jones. Posted by the man himself.
God damn.
Yeah. I need to look into what's happened there. That's hilarious. Also, apparently, Representative Lauren Bobbitt has just recommended that Brandon Herrera be appointed to head of the ATF under the Trump.
Holy shit, what?
Repeat that last thing.
You know Lauren Bobbitt? Or Bobbitt?
Yeah, what about her?
She has just recommended to Trump and done it openly on Twitter that Brandon Herrera, the AK guy, be made head of the ATF.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
Really? Okay, he's very pro Second Amendment. Brandon Herrera, he's the guy that made the AK-50. You must see me posting about the 50 cal AK built from scratch.
Oh my god, he's okay. He was okay. For reference, he put out on Twitter, "Wouldn't it be great if I was made head of the ATF?"
Yes, and
everyone then proceeded to meme about it.
And
then a whole bunch of people basically went on to some official website was part of the Trump administration process, and basically voted for him to be made head of the ATF. And now Lauren Boebert, who, as far as I know, is one of the most trusted confidants of Donald Trump,
she's up there,
has just made this recommendation directly to the future president. There's a very good chance that this could actually happen.
We live in a time of great meme magic.
I was just about to say, it's starting to feel like we fell into another planet, like alternate reality.
At this rate, Alex Jones will be press secretary.
Fucking excellent.
I know! That would be so that would be beautiful.
Can you imagine?
Go after that?
Good God. Alex Jones is press secretary of the United States, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy heading up
Doge.
the Doge.
I mean, we already have the Doge established or announced. So what lines won't we cross?
At this rate, the next 4 years it's going to be funny if nothing else. I can't wait.
It's just going to be a long 4 years of meme party.
Yeah. And can you imagine Alex Jones coming out, listen up, you bunch of shit.
No. What I want Alex Jones to do, his first announcement as press secretary, goes out to the microphone, adjusts it, make sure to get it really, do the feedback whine, and then just say directly into the mic, "I'm retarded.
I'm kind of retarded."
He should open every announcement with that line.
Oh my!
I just want you to know.
I haven't had this kind of positive feeling for the future, I think, ever.
It's a funny one, isn't it?
Even funnier when this causes Labour to collapse because Trump won't deal with them.
Yeah.
We'll see Keir Starmer resign. We'll get 3 weeks of Lammy as Prime Minister before that collapses, and then they'll be forced to a general.
I've said I would like to see a general election by April, May next year.
If we have a 2025 general election in the UK, there is a very good chance that Nigel Farage might become PM.
I don't know how I feel about that because I trust Nigel Farage about as much as far as I can throw him, but I still trust him more than most of the other politicians.
My interpretation of Farage is that yes, he is a scumbag politician, as all British politicians are. However, he is also very enthusiastic with playing nice with Trump, and will effectively become, let's be honest, there's no pretty way of describing this, he'll become a puppet of the Trump regime.
The issue I have with Farage, though, is that Farage will go full ham at something, achieve it, get everything set up and ready to go, and then go, oh, bloody hell, I didn't expect to win, and then drop out.
Yes. He's done
Yeah.
that several times now.
And in so doing, he'll be able to write another book and make more millions.
I have to go now, so I will talk to you guys later.
Take it
Alright.
easy, dude.
Take care, dude.
Yep,
Thanks for
see you
running the
later.
game.
No problem. Good to have you.
Yes.
I have.
What did he say? What did he say after Brexit? It's like, my work here's done. It's now time for